Hey, Miss Pooh Bear. What's up? What's up? What's up, Miss Pooh Bear? How you doing? Yeah, me, I'm just chilling. You already know. Hey, I forgot to handle something real quick. Um, my bad, y'all. I'm back. I had some things I had to do real fast. Shout out to y'all. Make sure y'all double tapping that screen, guys. The likes up. Hold on. All right, you know what I'm saying? We most definitely in the building. Shout out to everybody in here. You know what I'm saying? We most definitely in here. What's up, Mike? You know what I'm saying? What's up, Mr. Himself? What's up with it, Big Dog, Walker? You know what I'm saying? TC. You know what I'm saying? What's up, y'all? What's up, K-Cell? You know what I'm saying? Miss Pooh Bear. Yeah, man, they should be hating on the G, man. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you getting when you getting new, views like the news. They don't like that. Yeah, man, we most definitely in here, though, man. Hold on. Couple things I should have already done, like clean the screen. Y'all already know, man. You know what I'm saying? Y'all already know how it go, man. The hate be real. But we in here, guys. Today, man, you know, the Republicans most definitely came out with some things to say regarding Obamacare, the situation that happened in Australia, as well as the Brown University situation. You know, we gonna start there, then we gonna work our way up. We got brand new breaking news in the David case, guys. David and Celeste Rivera case. They found like a burn bin at his crib, guys. You know what I'm saying? And they saying that's something that could be significant, according to the private investigator, you know, who basically found all this stuff. I was like, wow. But let's get off into this first, you know what I'm saying, with the Republicans speaking on, you know, what's going on in politics concerning the Obamacare fraud, guys. Let's go. Then we got Chuck Schumer and them calling out Trump about the Epstein files.
Now, turning to the topic this week, which is one of the topics, which is healthcare. Let me begin by being very clear and very honest about the state of healthcare today. The Democrats' healthcare program has failed. And I want to remind everybody, what's the name of the healthcare program? Obamacare. This was a Democrat program, and I'm finally excited to see that the Democrats now have got on board with us that the affordable health care is anything but affordable. So, again, Republicans stand united to fix the problem again. But let's not forget where the root of the problem started. Democrats broke it, we will fix it. And happily to do that. Most Americans can't afford Democrats' insurance plan. The plans are riddled with waste, with fraud, with abuse, and if we're being honest, they only work for one
group.
What's
up, Ms. D?
Big insurance companies. Democrats' health care plan doesn't work. It's never worked. So Republicans are pursuing options that do things a little bit differently. First, we're working to fundamentally lower costs through reforms like cost-sharing reductions. You'll see a common theme: lowering costs versus subsidies. We want to lower premiums for all Americans. Second, we're proposing options that actually expand access.
Did y'all see something about some a $1,500 checks that's supposed to or allegedly going to be delivered to some Americans to help them fund their health care? Did y'all see that, or was I the only one? I most definitely seen that somewhere. I'm trying to remember where it was, but it was most definitely said something about a $1,500 check concerning health care
to all Americans. When Democrats passed their disastrous health care law in 2010, they promised that if you like your plan, you can keep it. They promised choice. They promised you low costs. Not a single one of those promises were true. Not one. In fact, healthcare premiums have risen over 60% since the implementation of the Care Act. And I ask you this, profitability from the insurance companies are 600% greater since Obamacare. Has your income increased 600%? Ask yourself that. I know mine hasn't.
No.
Here's the difference. Republicans are fighting for a solution. Democrats actually want this issue. They want healthcare to be an issue.
I see somebody saying Trump is trying to make it go through, but it's got to go through Congress first. It's going to take a while. Okay, I was just saying, I heard about it.
Republicans actually want solutions for Americans to bring down premiums, not subsidies. That's why Democrats are refusing to rally around real reforms. Instead, they're embracing the very broken system of which they created.
What's up, Well Informed?
But this has been true all year. Democrats have pushed political issues.
And yes, Candace Owens and Erica Kirk most definitely sat down, man. I got from both sides. They said that, hey, it was interesting. That's all I can say.
Republicans have actually delivered solutions. No one's talking about the border today, right? Why is that? It's because we fixed it. The border's closed. People are safe. But you don't hear anyone talking about that because Republicans fixed it. Republicans delivered bigger paychecks by eliminating taxes on tips, taxes on overtime, taxes on Social Security. Republicans delivered lower gas prices by cutting regulation and expanding permitting reform. Time and time again, Republicans delivered results for the American people, real results. And we're just getting started. When we return in the new year, we're going to see a continued focus and push for lower costs and bigger paychecks because that's what the American people need from us. That's what they want from us. Now, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Representative Marionette Miller Meeks, who is a veteran and a doctor who's actually been the leading voice here in the Republic.
Y'all don't remember Y'all remember to take time to double tap that screen and hit the like button. It helps out the channel, man. Everybody in the building, double tap that screen or click the 3 dots, hit that thumbs up, guys. They're talking about healthcare. Let's see what they got to say.
Healthcare solution. Marionette?
Well, I thank Chairwoman McClain, but also Speaker Johnson, Leaders Scalise, Whip Emmer. It's an honor to stand with the House Republican leadership to talk about one of the biggest issues facing American families today, and that's the rising cost of health care. As Chairwoman McClain said, I'm an Army veteran. I was both a nurse and a physician, and I'm the only member of Congress to have served as the state director of a public health department. Not only is this issue important to me, I started my journey as a doctor because I was burned at 15 years old. So it was healthcare and the need for healthcare that drove what I do today. And I spent my career treating patients and fixing broken systems, solving problems, and I can tell you, thanks to the Democrats' failed policy, which they now admit, our healthcare system went from ill to the ICU. For 15 years, the Unaffordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, has done the opposite of what it promised. President Obama promised to lower premiums by $2,500 and to bend the cost curve down. Has that happened? No. Not in the past 15 years, and it won't happen if we just continue to pass subsidies onto profitable health insurance companies. It doesn't even include out-of-pocket cost. It's not sustainable, and it's not working. Republicans want to lower health care costs for everyone, not just a select few, and not just to continue to subsidize profitable insurance companies. Our plan, the Lower Health Care Premiums for All Americans Act, is the Republican solution to this crisis. It doesn't throw more taxpayer dollars at insurance companies. It puts patients and doctors in the driver's seat. Our bill lowers premiums by 11% by funding cost-sharing reductions the right way, not just through COVID-era bailouts that benefited only big insurers. That's up to $1,871 in savings for families each year and over $36 billion in taxpayer savings. We're delivering real PBM reform to stop middlemen from inflating drug prices. Even in my own state, my PBM transparency bill that passed in 2019 when I was a state senator, one of our counties recorded that they saved $80,000 last year
80
through the
bands.
transparency alone. We want to give small businesses the ability and the power to negotiate better deals. That alone will save taxpayers $2 billion, but most importantly, save small businesses. We're expanding association health plans by allowing small businesses and self-employed workers to team up to expand choices, which result in premiums going down by as much as 30%, even those small businesses that are in the exchanges. As we're strengthening choice arrangements so more small businesses can afford to offer coverage and more workers can choose a plan that fits their lives and their budgets. This is a plan for working Americans, not for profitable insurance companies.
What they saying sound good. Do y'all believe it?
It's about lowering costs, increasing access, and restoring sanity to our healthcare system. Most importantly, it is a plan that lowers healthcare costs for everyone and puts patients and their doctors in the driver's seat. Thank you, and I look forward to getting this bill across the finish line and to the American people.
Like our conference chair, I want to start by offering my condolences to the families of the victims of several tragic events over the weekend. The shooting at Brown University that took the lives of two promising young students. The vicious ISIS attack on our service members in Syria that claimed 3 American lives. And finally, the horrific anti-Semitic terrorist attack in Australia that killed 15 innocent people at a Hanukkah celebration.
Lord, have mercy.
Our hearts are heavy as we grieve the evil that was put on display this past weekend, and we continue to pray for the full recovery of those injured and for the comfort of the families whose lives are now forever changed. Now, turning our attention to the House Republican agenda. This year, Republicans delivered one of the most consequential pieces of legislation in our lifetime. The Working Families Tax Cut Act, passed by the House Republicans and signed into law by President Trump, achieved historic America First victories, such as no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, tax relief for seniors, an increased child tax credit, and Trump savings accounts for newborn children. 2026 is gearing up to be the year of deeper pocketbooks and lower costs for the American people. Thanks to this landmark legislation, tax refunds could increase by $1,000 per taxpayer next year. That's more money in your pocket for you to invest, save, and grow. Waitresses, law enforcement officers, and parents will have more of their hard-earned dollars to put food on the table and to support their families. Not only did our bill deliver the largest tax cut for middle-class Americans, it also addressed rampant waste, fraud, and abuse in programs like Medicaid and SNAP. As we have all witnessed with the fraud scandals coming out of our state of Minnesota, these programs have long been ripe for fraud. But House Republicans and Donald Trump implemented common sense reforms to strengthen the system to benefit the people who need it the most, not fraudsters who sent millions to terrorists abroad. Which brings me to addressing the failure of my governor, Tim Walz. We anxiously await Tim Walz's response to House Oversight Committee Chairman Jamie Comer regarding what he knew about the $1 billion in fraud. Walz has had 7 years to address and stop the fraud. It wasn't until President Trump made this a national issue that Walz started to pretend that he
$1 billion in fraud? Good Lord, that's a lot of money.
Cares about his constituents' tax dollars supporting a terrorist group in Somalia. Accountability is coming, Governor. Our dishonest, failed governor must and will answer for his complete incompetence. With that, I'll turn it over to our leader, Steve Scalise.
Thank you, Webb. My prayers go out to all those killed in so many different horrible tragedies. I mean, here in America, Brown University, you look at our 2 Army soldiers that were killed, the anti-Semitic attacks on the other side of the globe. Just remind you, during this Christmas season, this Hanukkah season,
I didn't see that,
it's a special time. It's a time we celebrate, but it's also a time where evil still lurks here and all around the globe. And we just pray for those who have been murdered, harmed, injured. We pray for those who have evil in their hearts, that God can touch them and hopefully remove that evil so that they don't go harm innocent people. This week here in the House, as we finish our work for the year, we're taking up some very important bills. And start with the SPEED Act. We've heard complaints from members all across the country that know that just trying to build things in America, road projects, bridges, pipelines to move energy, anything you're trying to do, more and more laws are getting in the way. NEPA is a heavily abused law that delays a lot of the projects that ought to be built. Bruce Westerman and his committee have done incredible work to bring a bipartisan bill that starts to address the abuses here in NEPA so that we can actually build things in America again. You know, you think about the cost savings that would come if it only takes 2 years instead of 10 years to build a major project. And we all know what's happening all across America, why so many projects are shelved in many cases or take so long to be built because of the abuses of some of these laws like NEPA, Endangered Species Act, the Clean Water Act, Clean Air Act. All of these laws are being heavily abused. So this is a really important first step, getting the SPEED Act passed to get real meaningful permitting reform. And then, of course, Dr. Miller Meeks talked about her bill, which is such an important step to lower costs in healthcare for all Americans, 100% of Americans. While Democrats only care about bailing out insurance companies and focusing on less than 10% of Americans that are in the Unaffordable Care Act, we're focused on lowering premiums for all Americans. And that's what you're going to see on the floor this week. You know, you think about association health plans, which have been proven to give people more options to lower costs. The Choice Act, which, you know, while everybody complains, they say, why when I watch TV commercials, I see this gecko lizard and I see the emu and I see all these other animals out there selling health, they're selling car insurance, they're selling homeowners insurance. Why aren't they selling health insurance? Well, that's because the laws at the federal level prohibit the ability for people to have choices to get people trying to offer them lower cost products for health insurance. Imagine if, for example, with Choice Act, where you can run through a health savings account, the ability where if you get your health insurance through your employer, if you're able to go find a better plan, if somebody could compete for your business and offer you a lower deductible plan with lower co-payments for your families, right now you can't go buy that product. We create those options with the bill that we're bringing to the floor tomorrow, the PBM reform that Dr. Miller Meeks talked about, where you can actually have lower prescription drug costs, again, for 100% of Americans. This is something that our 3 committees of jurisdiction have been working on for a long time. And yet, while Democrats only want to bail out insurance companies while premiums go up, we're focused on having lower premium options, lower cost options for 100%.
Are y'all buying what they're putting down, guys? And do it sound like a bunch of mumbo jumbo?
On helping families that are struggling under the weight of all the damage that President Biden did. President Trump is working to lower costs. President Trump wants to see these bills on his desk. And we're going to work to deliver here in the House. And if I don't see you between now and then, I wish you all a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy Holidays. Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
I rarely get to raise the podium, but I'm going to take the opportunity this morning. Thank you, ladies. Good morning, everybody. Thank you to Dr. Miller Meeks for joining us.
And we got Mike Johnson
on
to
what
the
is our last
podium.
leadership press conference of the year. And I just want to say to all of you, press corps, thanks for being here each week and covering all of this. It's been a hugely historic week and year in so many ways, and a hugely consequential Congress, and you've had a lot to cover. So we do, as everybody has said, wish you Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah, and hope you get some well-deserved rest over the short holiday. Since Congress reopened following the end of the Democrat shutdown, the longest in American history, Republicans have passed, since we came back, 41 pieces of legislation. And of course, as you've heard this morning,
It was the Republican and Democrat shutdown, the longest in U.S. history. No, it was on both of y'all.
we're set to pass even more. Chief among them is the Lower Healthcare Premiums for All Americans Act. It is aptly and appropriately named because that's exactly what it's going to do, as everybody has explained this morning. If you recall, Democrats shut the government down and kept it closed for 43 days so that Chuck Schumer could get political cover from the grassroots of his party. Remember that he had voted for the same CR just several months earlier in March. When the same vehicle came forward, he suddenly changed his tune, and that is because he caught a lot of political backlash for it. So he decided instead to shut the government down and fight. Well, everybody saw how obvious and how dangerous that gambit was. And so the Democrats tried to spin their selfish political decision to claim the whole thing was always about, quote, fighting for healthcare affordability. But that claim never made any sense because it ignores the very simple facts of the situation. It is the Democrats' Unaffordable Care Act that broke America's healthcare system, as has been recounted this morning. And it's the Democrats who have refused every good faith Republican effort to fix it along the way. Now, this is 15 years into this saga that the American people have been drugged through because the Democrats decided 15 years ago to break the system. They insisted when they passed the Unaffordable Care Act that it would reduce premiums, it would provide more choice and higher quality and all of that. And none of that ever happened. In fact, quite the opposite effect is what we have seen. All this was foreseeable, and that's why Republicans didn't support it. Premiums have skyrocketed, the quality of care has plummeted in so many places and in so many cases around the country, and fraud is absolutely rampant in the system, and it is costing everyone dearly. Yes, there is a healthcare affordability problem in America. It's a very serious problem for almost every family. But it is an indisputable fact that the Democrats caused that problem, and Republicans are the ones having to clean it up. For 15 long years, Americans have now faced skyrocketing premiums, fewer quality choices, inefficient care, and widespread fraud, waste, and abuse. Benchmark premiums on the Obamacare marketplace for every plan, listen to this, they've increased 80% overall since 2014, and they're continuing to rise. The Unaffordable Care Act marketplace has resulted in lower quality plan offerings and less consumer choices to date. Fraud is absolutely rampant. Paragon Health is one of the analyst groups, and they estimate there's over 6.4 million people who are improperly enrolled in the Obamacare exchanges. And a recent GAO study, the Government Accountability Office, found some staggering facts. It proved what we all know intuitively about the fraud that's involved in
Are y'all buying what Mike Johnson is putting down, guys? I'm just saying, are we believing what he's saying? I'm just asking.
this program. They found that Obamacare's subsidy system lacks even the most basic guardrails to prevent fraud, waste, and abuse. And I think that study is something that you should all dig into. It should be on the front page of every newspaper because it is shocking and alarming. Over the last 2 years, for example, the investigators at the GAO, Government Accountability Office, they did a little experiment. They in 24 different cases, they applied for Obamacare subsidies. They did it fraudulently by intent. So,
Somebody down there said, we the people do not support Mike Johnson in Louisiana.
24 applications with no Social Security data attached, none of the information that's necessary to actually apply, no citizenship proof attached, and none of the income documents and all the things that are supposed to be applied and included in an application. Now, guess what? Out of the 24, 23 of them were approved. And they've been paid tens of thousands of dollars, some of them as recently as September of this year, the GAO tracking all of this fraud, wondering, hoping if anybody will ever pay any attention to it and stop it. That's not the only thing they found. The report also found that in 2023, 29,000 Social Security numbers were used by multiple persons. In 2024, 68,000 Social Security.
Hey, guys, let's take time to double tap that screen. You know, if you're on a mobile device, double tap that screen or click those three dots in the right-hand corner. Hit that thumbs up, guys. It helps out the channel. Most definitely hit that like button.
Security numbers used by multiple people to bilk the system, to defraud the system, and to take dollars to themselves. You had, in one case, there was over 120 individuals using the same Social Security number to get these benefits, and it was never stopped. The GAO also found that more than 94 million last year alone was sent to insurers on behalf of people who were already deceased. It's a serious, serious problem in the system. It's why the costs are so high, and this is the system that Democrats in Congress want to extend without any reform. Doesn't lower healthcare costs in any way. It only hides the true cost of the failed law. And I'll remind you, CSR payments are not a new idea. In fact, in 2017, the thing that we're going to put on the floor tomorrow, a big part of that, 196 House Democrats, many of them still in Congress, wrote a letter in support of that very idea. Exactly what the Republican bill this week will accomplish. Now, they won't tell you that this week. I'm certain they're all going to vote against it. Why? As was said here many times this morning, they do not want a solution. Democrats do not want a solution. They want an issue in the upcoming election. And they think that the media will go along with this and that people will buy it. That, their heroic effort to extend this COVID-era subsidy that they themselves created and that they themselves put the expiration date on at the end of this year, that they're going to try to convince you that that's all healthcare wrapped into that. Remember, it only affects 7% of Americans and would only reduce their cost by less than 6%. Democrats also had a chance to support our provision in the Working Families Tax Cut in the big, beautiful bill. But House Democrats voted against it, and the Senate Democrats stripped it out. That cost-sharing reduction reduced everybody's premiums by almost 12%, and the Democrats fought to take it out. This is something that we do.
How many of y'all are affected by this healthcare situation? Let me know down there, man. You know what I'm saying? As Democrats say that the cost is going to rise, and the Republicans are saying they're going to bring it down. It's Obamacare's fault, you know, all this and all of that. How many of y'all are directly affected by this situation?
What we're going to do this week, the Lower Healthcare Premiums for All Americans Act, is going to accomplish exactly what the title says. If it becomes law, premiums will decrease, access will increase, and every American will have more options and flexibility to choose the coverage that works best for them. It's called
I see that we got people down here that's directly affected by the situation. Okay, how is this situation affecting you? You know what I'm saying? Did your cost levels go up or go down, or, you know, let me know, you know, how did it directly affect you?
Significant piece of legislation that Congress has considered in my lifetime. Stephen Miller's had a quote that summarized it pretty well. He said, quote, "Each and every one of the individual titles in that bill will be considered one of the greatest achievements in the history of the conservative movement." They are conservative policies, but they benefit every American, and everyone will be seeing and feeling the effects of that in the first and second quarter of next year when all that becomes implemented. Here's, by way of reminder, real quick, legislation included the largest tax cut in American history, permanent extension of the reduced estate tax, Medicaid program reforms, expansion of SNAP work requirements, increased border enforcement and funding, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, increased standard deduction for seniors, tax-free savings accounts for every child born in America, business tax provisions to incentivize investment and innovation and broaden the pathway out of poverty for more people. Wages will be increasing and costs will be going down. Many of these landmark provisions are set for implementation in the first, second quarter, as I said, and all boats will begin to rise. Just last week, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent predicted 100 to 150 billion in new tax refunds, between 1,000 and 2,000 per household. And most of the estimates say that the average American household will have their take-home pay increase by at least $10,000. These are real, tangible benefits that this bill is going to offer to tens of millions of American families, and we're excited about what's ahead. It's just one more example of the many positive and transformational outcomes that we're going to see going into the next year. So far, House Republicans have passed 413 bills this year. We've codified 68 of President Trump's America First executive orders. We've repealed 23 Biden-era maddening regulations.
Your mom and dad goes up $2,000, $2,000 more dollars. Lord have mercy, man. How do they expect for us to be able to pay this? I'm just saying ACA is the best thing that happened as far as healthcare. Okay, all right, let's go.
Under the Congressional Review Act resolutions. We clawed back billions in wasteful spending through rescissions and opened numerous investigations into President Biden's failed administration. And we look forward to continuing all of that work when we return in 2026 and we go into an epic midterm election cycle. With that, I'll take a few questions. I'm going to go to Bill Malugin. What you doing on the front row, man? Glad to see you.
Let's continue to take time to double tap that screen. If you have not, that's how you hit the like button or click those 3 dots, hit that thumbs up. It helps out the channel. Also subscribe if you are new. This is Everything News. And we're basically right now taking a look at the Republicans speaking on healthcare, guys. I asked everybody how it affect them. You know, you can most definitely let me know if it affects you. We are 25 more likes from 100, guys. Let's get the likes over 100. Continue to double tap that screen. If you're on a mobile device, so click those 3 dots, hit that thumbs up. Let's get the likes up, guys.
Ahead of Jack Smith's deposition tomorrow, there's a new report out this morning that DOJ is getting ready to hand over Congress a batch of emails, specifically to the House Judiciary Committee. And in those emails, they allege it says that the FBI warned the Biden DOJ that there wasn't probable cause to raid Mar-a-Lago. Are you aware of this? Are you expecting to get these emails later today? What's your response?
I've heard as much as you just reported there, and I have not had an opportunity to review any of that yet. But it would verify and I think affirm much of what we understood from the very beginning. As y'all know, I used to serve on the House Judiciary Committee before I was made Speaker in October of 23. And we spent a lot of time uncovering just the complete and total weaponization of the Department of Justice under the Biden administration. They used it to go after political enemies, and chief among them was, of course, Donald J. Trump. And they abused the system, and to me, the great harm of it all was that they really eroded the people's faith in our system of justice itself. I mean, that's the most dangerous thing. If people don't believe that our justice system is actually equal justice under the law, that Lady Justice is actually still wearing the blindfold, that everybody gets the same treatment under the law, it's a really serious challenge for a constitutional republic. And so this is some shocking revelations to a lot of people. It's not to us. We understood that this was happening the whole time. The evidence, I think, and I expect will verify all of that. And there's going to have to be appropriate accountability. I mean, accountability is key here. It's important. Because if you're going to restore the people's faith in the justice system, you have to show them that there are serious consequences for people like Jack Smith, who abuses that system. We have to ensure it doesn't happen again, and we'll see how all that unfolds. But it's going to be a very, very interesting, important development. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. This morning, Congressman Mike Lawler said that it was political malpractice to not allow a vote on the ACA subsidy extension this week. What's your reaction to that? And will Republicans suffer any political blowback for not allowing something like that to come to the floor with moderates?
Well, Mike Lawler is a very dear friend and a close colleague of mine. And ironically, weekend before last, I was in New York, in his district on Long Island, and we were campaigning together, ensuring that he gets reelected. Mike Lawler fights hard for New York, as every Republican in this conference does for their districts. The districts are different. They have different priorities and ideas, but we do have, there's about a dozen members in the conference that are in these swing districts who are fighting hard to make sure that they reduce costs for all of their constituents. And many of them did want to vote on this Obamacare, COVID era subsidy that Democrats created. We looked for a way to try to allow for that pressure release valve, and it just was not to be. We worked on it all the way through the weekend, in fact, and in the end, there was not an agreement, wasn't made. Now, everybody was at the table in good faith, and I certainly appreciate the views and the opinions of every member of this conference. But I will tell you one thing they will all join in unity on is voting for this bill that we've been discussing this morning, because again, instead of just trying to assist 7% of Americans, this is for 100% of Americans, and we can handle that and do that together. I hope that Democrats will come along with us. If they're serious about solving the problem and bringing down cost of health care, they'll all fully support it as well. But I think you're going to see they're playing politics with this.
Thank you, Speaker Johnson. Last week, President Trump said that his legislative agenda is essentially done. So why should voters vote for Republicans in the midterms if there's nothing left to do legislatively?
Well, I don't know which comment you're referring to and in what context, but I'll tell you, I talked to the president sometimes multiple times each day. He and I and his team and our teams work around the clock. Literally, the president and I will talk sometimes at midnight and then again at
That's what it
6
sounds
a.m.
like.
I mean, this president doesn't sleep. He's working all the time. The agenda is aggressive. There is much more to do. I think what he's sometimes when I think he's taken out of context on comments like that. He's referring to what we accomplished with the Working Families Tax Cut, the big beautiful bill, because there's so much in that a lot of people said, "Wow, you guys checked all
They
the boxes."
still call it the big ugly
we
bill.
did, to a certain extent, but there is so much more to do. And we're going to have a very aggressive legislative agenda coming right out of the gates in January. We're going to continue to work, for example, on healthcare to continue to bring costs down to the American people, to bring down the cost of living overall. You're going to see an aggressive affordability agenda, and we're going to see continued codification of the president's executive orders. He's up to about 200 of those. Probably about 150 of them are codifiable by Congress, and we're working steadily through that list. You're going to see us delivering for the American people while the effects of that giant piece of legislation that we did on July 4th, got signed on July 4th, comes into implementation. So much more.
Hey guys, we need 20 more likes. Double tap that screen. You know, if you're on a mobile device, and click those three dots and hit that thumbs up. It helps out the channel. 20 more likes, man. We got like 400 people in here and only got 82 likes. Let's get the likes up, guys. You're here watching, you might as well hit the like button and support the channel.
Much more yet to do, and the president and I talk about that almost every day, and he's excited about it, and I am. Yes, sir.
Mr. Speaker, so there's a lot of Republicans who would still like to see health savings accounts set up as an alternative to the premium tax credit. I'm curious, why is that not in this bill? Is that something that's still on the table?
Very much on the table. The president likes the policy as well. I see my doctor colleagues are going to get Dr. Meek.
Somebody said y'all wearing out the lower class. That's all they doing. That's how you feel about it. You feel like the lower class people are getting pooped on. You know, let me know. I see what you typed down there.
This is not in agreement. The Docs Caucus the Doctors Caucus in the Republican conference works on these things, and I think we could get broad consensus on that. What we anticipate going into the first quarter of next year is possibly in a reconciliation package or in regular order as standalone ideas just like this. We have a long list of things that we know will reduce premiums, increase access and quality of care. And again, we're the only party that's going to be bringing that forward. The Democrats have zero ideas, zero concepts, and zero legislative plans on anything they'll propose other than just subsidizing the broken system. So there's going to be a stark contrast between the two parties. That'll be a big part of it, and I think you'll see a lot of that discussion going forward. Yes, ma'am. Last one.
Just to follow up on that, we're at the end of the year here. People have already enrolled in their health care plans. You guys were out for 2 months during the shutdown. Why has it taken until the end of the year to start addressing
Somebody say BS.
these healthcare bills? And what is your message to
y'all
those
down there.
who
Let
are
me
going
know.
to see their premiums rise next year anyway? Because it seems unlikely that Congress is not going to be able to get something together by then.
The healthcare bill on the floor tomorrow is right on time. There's always a good time to reduce.
Pooh Bear said there's no middle class, only rich, then the rest of us. Wow.
Premiums for health care. Now remember,
Well, y'all don't like
the Republican
that.
Party, since the Unaffordable Care Act became law 15 years ago, we have been working steadily, producing ideas, trying to address this. We tried to repeal and replace it, as you all know, in our ultimately failed attempt back in the first Trump administration, in 2017. The famous John McCain thumbs down tanked the effort. And since then, the roots of Obamacare, the Unaffordable Care Act, have gotten so deep in the system that it's no longer possible to just pull it out at the root and chop it off and start over. It's too deeply ingrained. And so now we have to take it step by step to reduce cost and repair the system. And that's the ideas that we have. You're talking about the longest shutdown in U.S. history. The Democrats did that. Remember, when we reopened the government, we ended in the exact same place that we began. They didn't get a darn thing out of it, and we knew that they wouldn't, and that's how it would come out, and they did it for political purposes. When they took us off the field effectively for 43 days, as soon as we got back, let's remember, because history's being revised here every day, we got right back to the appropriations process, remember, which was so critically important, and all the other measures that we were pushing through. We got done on that steadily through the year, and then we turned the attention to healthcare, knowing it was coming at the end of the year on the subsidy and that new ideas would be presented. We didn't start this in October, November, or December. This is something the Republican Party's been working on for years. I've mentioned in here before, when I was chair of the Republican Study Committee, the largest caucus of Republicans in Congress, we had 158 members back in 2019, and we produced a 2-volume set on conservative common sense solutions to fix healthcare. We've never been able to get the votes to fix it because the Democrats have been unwilling to go along. And you can go back and look at the record and show over and over, all they want to do is continue to throw taxpayer dollars and subsidize the broken system. The reason the premiums are up 80% since the bill was passed by the Democrats in 15 years ago is because they're further ingraining a broken system. So it's up to us to fix it. This is one piece, one part of that. And in the first quarter, January, February next year, you're going to see much more activity of this. The American people's attention is on healthcare for the obvious reason. It is a very serious problem. But remember this, the Democrats broke it, Republicans are going to fix it. I wish you all the best.
A broken system that they saying the Democrats broke, that the Republicans are gonna fix, guys. That was the Republican Party as far as Mike Johnson them, right? I expected for Schumer and them to be talking about the same thing. They got on it a little bit, but they most definitely got on Trump about the Epstein files. Check this out, guys. They said release the files to the people. That's what the Democrats saying.
Others are
What is Trump
active
hiding?
and proud members of our task force. So look, 27 days ago, every single senator sent Donald Trump a clear and simple message. Release the Epstein files. Congress passed a law, not a suggestion, not a request. The law requires DOJ to release the files by Friday, December 19th. In 3 days, President Trump has a choice. Follow the law and release the files, or break the law and continue to hide the truth from the American people. Let me be blunt.
Schumer calling out Trump, say he hiding the truth, man. He hiding the truth.
We fully expect Trump, Bondi, and their minions to dodge, delay, or partially release these files. If they release some documents and hide others, the American people will see right through it, and they'll ask the obvious question. We are all asking the obvious question that looms. President Trump, what are you trying to hide? President Trump, what are you trying to hide? That's the question the American people are asking. Now, over the past few weeks, Senate Democrats, including my colleagues here with me, have been preparing for every scenario. We're working with the victims' attorneys. We're working with legal experts. We're working with people very familiar with this case to ensure full compliance.
Well, the Democrats are pushing for these files to be released, guys. They is on Trump top.
To the law. If the administration withholds some documents unlawfully, we will know. If they abuse narrow exemptions to hide the truth, we will know. And there will be serious legal and political consequences. This law passed with near unanimous support. The survivors deserve the truth, and the American people are demanding it. This isn't political. Democrats and Republicans agree. The American people deserve the truth. So, Donald Trump, release the Epstein files. Stop hiding. Stop delaying. Come clean with the American people. And if you don't, the question will only get louder and louder and louder. Trump, what the hell are you trying to hide? Senator Wyden's done great work on the financial end of this and has been a great member of our team.
Thank you.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. No, Amy, you go first.
Now, please.
Amy goes next.
Go. You're closer to the microphone.
Thank my colleagues, and there are two cover-ups that need to be discussed this morning. The first involves the Department of Justice, and that is urgent business that we're focused on this week. The second cover-up is being conducted by the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, and it deals with the financial aspects of how the sex trafficking came to be. So let's talk about them one at a time. First, as Senator Schumer said, there's good reason to be skeptical of whatever spin the Trump administration puts out on Friday. Here's why. This wouldn't be the first time Bondi tried to trick the public with a binder full of chicken feed. That's what she did back in the spring, which infuriated MAGA voters who took Trump and his...
This man said a bag full of chicken feed. Let's go. Shout out to the old guys, man. They standing on business when it comes to the Epstein files and telling Trump and them to release them by December 19th.
cronies at their word that they'd release the files. Second, the cushy treatment by the Trump administration of Ms. Maxwell is totally unacceptable. She was right at the heart of the most notorious sex trafficking ring in modern American history. Despite that, Donald Trump himself said a pardon for Maxwell is on the table. Third, the Trump administration did assign hundreds of FBI agents to look at the Epstein file, but it wasn't to hunt down any more pedophiles. It was really to comb through the files for Donald Trump's name. Why? To protect him from public scrutiny. From the beginning, that's what they focused on with respect to Epstein. So Trump and Bondi do not deserve the benefit of the doubt. Second, we need to look at what Scott Bessent and the Treasury Department is up to here. They've got another massive set of Epstein files. It is a critical fight for transparency and to find out how this horrendous sex trafficking operation was funded. For nearly 4 years, Finance Committee investigators have been on this, and we have been following the money. And to do that, you've got to get access at the Treasury Department
And they've
to the
been
records that
following
we
the
have seen.
money.
The staff of major Republicans have seen them, and the file is made up of thousands and thousands of bank documents. And my investigators say that it is a financial roadmap into how Epstein hurt so many families. It shows who was paying Epstein and where his money was going. It shows what banks enabled his trafficking despite evidence of money laundering and despite the knowledge that he was a sex offender. It shows payments that look like the result of blackmail. It shows big outflows of money to Eastern Europe, Turkey, and Russia. And it includes the names of women and girls. My investigators saw a large portion of these records in 2024 under the Biden administration, but the Trump administration is denying us the file today. It's important for the American people to find out how all of this was financed, and that means getting our hands on the file to investigate further. The Secretary of Treasury, Mr. Bessent, has refused now multiple times to hand it over to our investigators. Ridiculous excuses, again and again. So we have introduced legislation to compel him to turn this over to Senate investigators. And I will tell you that Epstein survivors are already filing suit, against banks because they think that this information is so critical to finding out how they were exploited. So it is time for the stonewalling to end. That's why I so appreciate what my colleagues have done to get this information out on Friday. And the administration is required by law to release the Epstein files at DOJ. I'm here to say it's got to be done at the Treasury Department as well, because we find in America, you capture corruption by following the money. And that's what was so critical at this point to the
They
second
following the money,
investigation.
guys.
Thank you, Leader Schumer, and I thank my colleague, Senator Klobuchar. He's been working very well on this, and we appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Senator Wyden. Thanks for following the money, something that's our creed as my former job as prosecutors. Whenever you're solving a case from the smallest theft to big rings, and I appreciate that. So let's remember what this is all about. This is about exploitation and abuse. These victims deserve justice, they deserve transparency, and they deserve accountability. Example, Danielle Bensky, 17, recruited into Epstein's circle. Her mom had a brain tumor, and Epstein told her he could help her mom, but only if she abided by his demands, including recruiting other girls. He told her, I can use it to help you, or I can make it very difficult for your mother. That horrific crime, one of many, is why the House voted 427-1 to release the files and why the Senate unanimously passed the bill on Senator Schumer's motion. That bill set a specific deadline, December 19th, and it is a must. It's not a may, it's a must. And it says that no record shall be withheld, delayed, or redacted on the basis of embarrassment, reputational harm, or political sensitivity. With this deadline, they will show whether they are really going to stop covering up or they are going to protect these powerful abusers. If they redact these files heavily, it will be clear they are hiding something. Because maybe it's because Donald Trump is mentioned 1,500 times. Maybe it's because they want to shield wealthy donors who are implicated in these files. Regardless of the reason, if these files are heavily redacted without justification, Americans will know that they are once again, this administration, siding with the rich and the powerful. Remember, if the president was actually serious about truth and transparency, his administration would have released these files months ago. All the way back in March, the Attorney General said everything is going to come out to the public. The public has a right to know. It's been 9 months. 9 months. And if the administration withholds or heavily redacts these records, it will be clear whose side they are on. We know the money, follow the money. They haven't released those yet. And then when it comes to this, they literally have the power of the entire Congress telling them, get them out there now. That's what these next few days will tell us. And with that, I turn it over to my colleague who's been working on this for months and been right out front on it, Senator Merkley.
We smell a rat. Why? The president
Colin, they
campaigned
calling
on
Trump,
releasing the
they
file.
said we smell a rat.
Pam Bondi assured everyone the files would be
Pam
released.
Bundy.
Kash Patel.
All right, and I hear a lot of y'all out there talking about, well, why didn't the Biden administration release the Epstein files? I don't know why, but I tell you one thing. What got people on Trump like they're on Trump right now about releasing these files is that they campaigned on it. Remember? They said we will release the Epstein files. They can't, Trump them campaigned on it. So now that he's in office, they want him to live up to what he said, which is releasing them. So I think that's why they on Trump them so tough about releasing these files, for the simple fact that that's what they campaigned on.
So the files will be given to the public. And yet here we are. Not a single bit of these files has been released. And then what happened? Well, we had over in the House bipartisan leadership with Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie and a discharge petition. And as the discharge petition started to reach the critical number required, the House went on 8 weeks of vacation in order to avoid releasing these files. That's never happened in American history. And then we find, as they were coming back, what happened? An announcement that some new investigations were being launched. That was on November 14th. And on the evening of the 18th, Senator Schumer went to the floor, asked for unanimous consent that the bill from the House be deemed passed when it arrived in the Senate, and unanimous consent was secured from all to send this message. And what happened the next day? Pam Bondi gets up and says, we have this new information to justify new investigations. The timing of that's awfully suspicious. So the leaders in the House and the Senate demanded a meeting. We wrote to Pam Bondi, Ro Khanna, Tom Massie, myself, Ben Ray Lujan, And we were joined, and I welcomed the bipartisanship of Senator Murkowski to say, we want to know what you're up to. Meet with us and explain these new investigations. What is this new evidence? What are you undertaking? And how are you setting forward a plan to make sure all the documents are released on the 30-day notice? We got a response. The response was, we acknowledge receipt of your letter. That's it. So one of the things to watch for is the argument that vast sections had to be redacted in some cases to defend the integrity of some newly invented investigations. One way or another, we anticipate that Trump is going to continue to hide the files that should be released. We must not let it happen. We must not let it happen because we are about accountability for the perpetrators and justice for the victims, and that will not happen unless there is transparency and the documents are released in whole. Thank you.
Senator Blumenthal. Yes, thanks to my colleagues, most especially to Senator Schumer for being so steadfast and unyielding. I think we need to recognize why we are here. We are here because of the survivors. Because of the survivors pursuing relentlessly the hideous cause of their victimization, Epstein, but also the rich and powerful people who were Epstein.
I'll never forget one day somebody said, this guy right here looks like Ernest from Ernest Saves Christmas, if you ever seen the movie.
Benefactors and his enablers, the survivors, created that public pressure that led to the law forcing release of these documents. Donald Trump must listen to the survivors, and we will know what they are concealing because of the survivors. Your question may be, how do you know that they're hiding stuff? The survivors will give us the knowledge we need to pursue the truth. They have been about the truth from the very start, and their truth has to prevail.
All he missing is the hat.
Thank you. And so, as I mentioned, we've had a task force of 13 members. We've divided up in different groups because we know, we believe that they will not give full, open disclosure where there's great accessibility. What is Trump hiding? We're going to find out everything that he hides, that he has hidden. Not just not releasing the report, but once he releases the report, what else he is hiding. And that's why we assembled this task force, and we've had great success, great help from the survivors and their lawyers, from others who have prosecuted. Ron's done a great job on the financial end of it. We're going to find everything out. He can run, he can't hide. Questions on this subject? Yes.
What is your sense in terms of the time frame? Is it end of day on Friday, or is it like when do you need to have these?
We're finding out when they should be releasing the files, guys. Or when the DOJ is supposed to.
We don't know when exactly they'll release it. They may try to do it at 11:59 p.m. They have to do it by the 19th. That's the law. If they don't release the documents, there's going to be such an outcry from one end of America to the other that I think they'll be forced to do it. Just as they've resisted all along, but we're at this point. The public pressure, as Abe Lincoln said, public sentiment is everything. You've rarely seen so many different political wings of each party come together and say we need this. So we believe they'll be required to do it. Obviously, we would pursue every legal, legislative, and administrative way to get this done as well, but public pressure will be everything. Yes?
How are you planning on addressing this if they do release it and it's so heavily redacted that there's nothing substantive?
Well, the people who wrote the legislation drafted it very carefully. We've been consulting our lawyers on just that issue, and we will be able to first make the point that some of the redacted stuff much of the redacted stuff doesn't have to be redacted, and we'll have chapter and verse on that. And second, we will be prepared to argue that in court. But again, our number one ally in this is the American people. And they are going to demand that it be released. And when we say this and this and this shouldn't have been redacted, what are they hiding there? It's going to increase a lot of heat on them.
Clearly, as Senator Schumer knows, having met with them, the victims are not also going to allow this to happen.
Right.
They're going to be leading the way. They want to know what's in these documents.
The victims are already filing lawsuits using the information we've gotten. They are not going to let this just go by the board.
Yes.
What is your plan for making progress on Senator Wyden's bill with regard to Treasury?
Well, why don't I call on Senator Wyden?
We're going to keep pushing to find out what is behind Scott Bessent's stonewalling. The fact of the matter is, on Valentine's Day, before the administration, the Biden administration left, we went to look at the SARS, these suspicious activity reports, and we had the staff of senior Republicans, and we're going to keep pushing on a bipartisan basis to A, get all the facts out, because as Senator Schumer has said, this is not a blue and red fight, and B, to make the reforms that are necessary so this never happens again. Too many banks looked the other way. Too many auditors decided this wasn't important. This was again and again a textbook case of disinterest in suffering and families and young girls, and we're not going to let it happen again.
We're also not going to bifurcate this. It's part of one large investigation, one large disclosure. And just as we will do everything we can to alert the public what has happened on the non-financial parts of the documents, with all the horrible things that they did to these women, we're going to continue to keep pressure on the financial parts too. Yes.
So let's say these files do get released. Is it just going to be a public release, and you all are just going to let the American people go through them and come to their own conclusions? Or will Senate Democrats, will there be a coordinated campaign? Will there be anything that we can expect next year when you all?
Well, the first step is to get them all released. That will be our first job. And then once we have the releases, obviously it's going to be clear as could be to the American people what has gone on here. But, you know, Democrats will be actively involved, letting people know how disgraceful this has been.
The American people should see everything we see.
Yeah, they'll see it. Yes.
In terms of the timing, if you need to go to court after the release because it's, there's too many redactions or just everything's not there, is that something that can happen quickly, days?
We're going to, we have great lawyers who are ready to go, and we will leave it to them as to the best sense of timing. But certainly we want to let public pressure build and build and build.
And are you working with the Republicans on the court action? Because the law was bipartisan.
We expect that we will have lots of bipartisan support. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Oh, last one.
What steps are you guys taking when it comes to learning more about why Ghislaine Maxwell's moved? I don't know if you saw, but Susie Wiles, the president's chief of staff,
We saw that.
she had no idea. The president had no idea. I'm curious. I don't know whether those will be.
She should not have been moved. And I think when the files are made public, the pressure on to disclose how that happened, why that happened, and to undo it will be very, very real and strong.
Is that a focus of one of these tasks?
That is one of the focuses is on what happened and what they've tried and what they have tried to do to cover up everything, including what happened with Ghislaine.
Okay.
All right, so we heard from the Republicans. They were basically talking about health care. We just heard from the Democrats. They talking about the Epstein files, and that Trump and them have to December 19th to get those files out. You know what I'm saying? And they will fight even harder if it's redactions, to get the redactions removed or some of the redactions removed so that people can see exactly what's in there, guys. All right, to another situation. I covered this last night with Erica Kirk and Candace Owens, guys. Candace has been on her conspiracy spree, and Erica basically asked for her to stop lying. Candace responded and said, lying where? If you showed me a lie, I'll most definitely stop. So she felt like she was telling the truth, right? So all of this noise back and forth, on news stations and social media, they had a sit down. It was a private sit down, so nobody knows exactly what was said. But Candace Owens went live on it, and Erica Kirk most definitely spoke on it as well. Let's go here. This is what Erica had to say previously on Fox, guys.
to have her here to shine a light on healing as we all miss and mourn the loss of her beloved Charlie Kirk. Not all of her journey has been without, well, hate, conspiracies, and oddly, speculation about where her husband is buried. Now, for the first time, Erica, who's with me now, addresses all of it from the perspective of a grieving widow, a mom, and a battle-tested American. Good to see you again today. Talk to me about this part of the conspiracies that are out there, this disturbing part that people are trying to guess where Charlie is.
Can I have one thing? Can I have one thing? Can my children have one thing? Everything was public. We will be building the most beautiful memorial for my husband at Turning Point USA, and it will be for the world to see, and it will be spectacular, and it will have basically museum style for our Charlie, for my Charlie. But can I have one thing? Can my babies have one thing where we hold it sacred, where my husband is laid to rest, where I don't have to be worried about some secular revolutionary coming and destroying my husband's grave while my daughter is sitting there praying? One thing. But this is my husband. Yes, he was Charlie Kirk to the world, and I know so many people love my husband, and I am grateful for that. But this is my husband, and I want to be able.
Boy, she is seriously speaking right now about her husband. Man, y'all take time to double tap that screen. If you're on a mobile device, double tap your screen or click those three dots, hit that thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you are new. This is everything that transpired a little bit before and what happened at this meeting that just took place between Erica Kirk and Candace Owens.
That is sacred to our family, to my in-laws, to my babies, and to my parents. One thing.
What are they taking from you right now?
Nothing. But I will tell you what they are doing. It reminds me so much of chapter 6 in the book of Nehemiah. He is building a wall, and the townspeople are at the base of that hill saying, Nehemiah, calling him all these names, saying all these things, come on down. Every single time he had the same message 4 times in a row. I cannot come down. I am busy building. That is how I feel. I do not have time to address the noise. My silence does not mean that I am complacent. My silence does not mean that somehow Turning Point USA and all of the handpicked staff that loved my husband and my husband loved them is somehow in on it. We are busy building. And you know what I thought? I thought these people are human. We are all grieving in our own way. And they are trying to find the answer to something that happened that was so evil. They are trying so hard, and I get that. We're doing the same. Anytime we hear a lead or anytime we hear anything, we send it to the authorities. Please dig into this. No rock will be unturned. I want justice for my husband, for myself, for my family, more than anyone else out there. So for me, you want to keep telling me to come down while we're building? I don't have time for that. But here's my breaking point on that. Come after me, call me names, I don't care. Call me what you want.
I think this was directly to Candace.
Go down that rabbit hole, whatever. But when you go after my family, my Turning Point USA family, my Charlie Kirk Show family, when you go after the people that I love, and you're making hundreds and thousands of dollars every single episode, going after the people that I love because somehow they're in on this, no.
You know, I have to say it. I've never seen you like this.
No, this is righteous anger because this is not okay. It's not healthy. This is a mind virus. Yes, I believe in our judicial system. I do. We have a hell of a team working on this. Excuse my French. But this is not okay.
So you want to put these people back in the box where they've been creeping from?
I don't care what box you're in. But just know that your words are very powerful and we are human. My team are not machines and they're not robots. They are human. We have more death threats on our team and our side than I have ever seen. I have kidnapping threats. I have, you name it, we have it. And my poor team is exhausted. And every time they bring this back up, what are we supposed to do? Relive that trauma all over again? They watched my husband get murdered. I have no idea how I would have reacted if I was there that day. And thank the good Lord that I did not have to see that happen. But my team, they are rocked to the core. So why every single day do they have to be dragged through the mud, analyzed, hyper-analyzed?
You know, the conspiracies that are out there, all of the like. Do you think that there is more of it now because you do shine your light? I mean, did people just expect you would just go away?
I don't know what they expected.
They pick on you because of your accessories. I mean, I've seen some of it.
Oh, yeah.
Is she wrong for feeling the way she feel? Let me know.
No, at this point, it's what the conspiracy collection. Get it before Christmas. Like, seriously, if you want to find and pick me apart, go right ahead. I do not care. I don't. This was happening before Charlie was murdered. Both of us have been through the ringer of people will call you whatever they want to call you. They will. But I have seen it firsthand impact the people that I love, and I'm done. I'm done. And if people think that I was just going to wilt away, I'm not going to sit in a corner and cry and be in fetal position. This is a duty to my husband, and it's an absolute honor, and I will never back down. And so my message to them is to stop. To stop.
And that's what we will say here on Out Number 2. God bless you. Hold up your book.
Stop in the name of God.
Amen.
Stop in the name of God, guys. So, you know, we see that Erica is most definitely on top of it, guys. She is most definitely on it, man. You know, she is not backing down. She most definitely felt away, right? Which leads us to this sit down they were supposed to be happening. Once again, they had a sit down, guys. People are really speculating on what was going on during this sit down.
Erica Kirk meeting with conservative podcaster Candace Owens today for a private conversation. Owens has been pushing several conspiracy theories about the assassination of Turning Point USA founder and Erica's husband, Charlie Kirk. Owens suggested members of Turning Point USA, American supporters of Israel, even members of the U.S. military may have been involved in his assassination. 22-year-old Tyler Robinson is charged in Kirk's murder. He was smirking in court just last week. And I discussed all of this with Erica on Will Kane Country last week. I haven't mentioned Candace Owens. I just didn't mention her name. And I didn't do that because I don't want to force you to talk about it if you don't want to. But everyone listening knows. I'm going to ask you this last question on this. And what I'm going to say is, you have made a choice that has changed in the last week. Your team has been talking, and you have also said that a bridge has been crossed, talking about people that you know. What I'm curious about, Erica, is going forward, will you and the team, do you think you will talk about it more?
The chatter will always be there, regardless. Well, if we spent all of our time going through every single accusation, we'd get nothing done at the office. Nothing. We were told that if we said stop, they would stop. And we said stop. And I'll say it again. Please stop.
Joining me now is Fox News contributor Jason Chaffetz. Jason was at Utah Valley
smell a lawsuit.
University when Charlie was killed. Jason, this Candace Owens, Erica Kirk, Candace Owens, Turning Point USA, back and forth has been going on now for a couple of weeks. Does it surprise you now that all of a sudden Erica has agreed to sit down today with Candace Owens?
It's a little surprising. It's disappointing that it's had to come to this because the unrelenting perpetuation of these, somewhat radical conspiracy theories, I think has taken its toll. And it seems very selfish on the part of Candace Owens, who wants clicks and more viewers, and she wants to essentially monetize this.
They say it's all over clicks and views and money. That Candace ain't really out for justice. She out for money. What y'all think?
And I get a little disgusted with it over time. Everybody wants justice. Everybody wants the truth to come out. But that's why we have law enforcement and prosecutors in a trial, and we go through these things. But I don't think Erica Kirk and certainly her kids should have to live through this. And the good people at Turning Point, I think, are fed up with it because it just draws on your mind in a way that is just not productive. In fact, it's counterproductive and it's harmful.
You know, Jason, I will admit to you and to the audience that I haven't put in the hours and hours and hours of content consumption that's required to understand everything that has been alleged by Candace Owens. I really should, at some point, to fully understand the ins and outs of this story. That being said, I do know this. It is incredibly powerful, Jason. It is incredibly popular, not just on the charts, not just on the podcast rankings, but in conversation out here in the world. It's brought up to me often, the theories of Candace Owens. Do you think that is part? What do you think has driven Erica?
Guys, can we double tap that screen, please? It's not hard. It helps out the channel if you hit the like button. How do you hit the like button? You double tap the screen of your mobile device or click those 3 dots in the right-hand corner. Let's also make sure we subscribe to the channel. You know what I'm saying? Turn your notification bells on to all. Guys, let's get those likes up. They are way, way low. Double tap that screen. Get the likes up. If you're on a mobile device, or click the 3 dots, hit the thumbs up.
And Turning Point USA to try to set this meeting?
I can't totally get in her mind, but I don't know of any other way to get it to turn off. I mean, she said on your podcast, Will, you know, if you just said stop, that maybe it would, but it's not. And it continues on. And maybe, just maybe, I just feel for Erica. I don't think she has to go through this. She shouldn't have to relive this. Imagine the anxiety of having to go confront this person who really just is making stuff up in many cases, and certainly not vetting it to the point where it's ready for publication. She seems to put this out there in such rapid fire that, again, there's so many falsehoods that have now been demonstrated. There comes a point where you just don't believe her anymore. You can't even look at it because she continues to perpetuate so many falsehoods without actually backing up with real facts.
You know, you mentioned that Erica has said on my show and other shows, she has asked and pled for it to stop. It has not yet stopped. You were there. You were there. And Erica also said on my show, there's nothing wrong with asking questions. She has questions. Everybody should ask questions to ensure the integrity of this investigation into the murder of Charlie Kirk. But you were there that day, Jason. That doesn't mean that you know everything about the investigation, but it does mean you bring a certain perspective to the assassination of Charlie Kirk. So what do you think about the investigation and the kind of things being said by Candace?
I need law enforcement to do what we hired them to do. I believe in these people. I believe in the Utah County Sheriff. I believe in the FBI. I think Kash Patel and the group that he's leading there, they want the truth as much as anybody. The prosecutors believe they have a strong case. You have people like Jonathan Turley saying the evidence is just amazing. Look, I was one of 3,000 people that were there and that are traumatized by this. I can still hear it. I can still see Charlie, falling back. I don't want to keep reliving this, but I want that memory of Charlie to be a real positive one. And I do want to get it right. And if there are legitimate questions, ask those questions. But when they're put out there as facts and distractions to have to relive this, day after day in Candace's world, I don't want to do that.
We'll wait and see what comes out of this meeting between Erica Kirk and Candace Owens. Jason, thanks for being with us here today.
All right. So you hear him saying, man, they on Candace hard about the things she are putting out, the things she has been putting out, right? It's crazy, man. They steady. Chris Cuomo commented on it. Let's go.
Sunday. That's how long the truth had a chance to gasp for life before Candace Owens killed it. Both Erica Kirk and she said yesterday's meeting was good, was productive. One day later, Owens is back using her platform to spew animus because it's time to get paid, my friends. She's provoking rage bait, calling people a TPUSA, her former company, people that she's fine with when she sees them at a party. But for you, she calls them liars who can't be trusted. Let's get perspective from someone who knew Charlie Kirk very well, who understands the circumstances around his death, and understands what's going on with Candace Owens very, very well. TPUSA spokesman Andrew Colvett. And Andrew, I got to say, first of all, heading into the holy days, Merry Christmas to you and the family. And I was surprised that you guys have been as assertive with this. But I guess my original advice to you, which was just let her spew, it will blow over. It hasn't happened. But she came out of the meeting and literally said, okay, guys, I'm alive, Andrew. She said, I'm alive. Like, what do you make of that kind of response from her?
You know, honestly, Chris, I can tell you that I live my life wonderfully immune and distanced from a lot of the chatter that's going on online. And listen, I think Erica, she showed so much grace and poise, both when you think back to the memorial and how she forgave her husband's assassin, because you know that's biblical, that's the Christian ethic. And if you're wondering how Erica's going to run things, just look at the way she operates. She has tons of courage. She has tons of poise, and she's always going to lead with trying to do the right thing. And so, listen, I'm not going to jump to conclusions. I'm not going to get out over my skis. I'm just going to say good for Erica Kirk, leading the way, showing the world how to do things by example, modeling a Christian ethic and good behavior. And listen, I'm gonna pray for peace. I'm gonna hope for the best. But in the meantime, we got lots of work to do.
So she took the meeting to show grace and hope that it would go away. And Candace Owens is really going to use it as fuel. You know what happens next, right? She's going to start saying things that happened in that meeting. I hope you recorded it, because she's going to now say she's got new clues and indications, because she's getting paid by doing this. I know you used to know her. I've been around her a long time. This is different, and I don't think it's going to end. What does that mean?
They steady saying it's about the money, guys.
To you, because she talks about you a lot also.
Yeah, well, I've known Candace since probably 2018.
Can we get the likes up past 200, guys? We need 30 more likes. Double tap that screen if you have not, or click those 3 dots, hit that thumbs up. Let's get these likes up, guys. We over 900 in the building, man. We most definitely need more on the likes. More on the likes, guys. Double tap that screen. You know, if you're on a mobile device, and click those 3 dots, hit that thumbs up, guys. As we find out what's going on with Candace Owens and Erica Kirk, guys. They had a person-to-person meeting, and they're most definitely trying to iron this thing out before it goes too far left. But people are predicting that Candace is gonna keep it going. Chris Cuomo even just said he bets she talks about it on her show, what took place in this private meeting. Let's 10 more, guys. Double tap that screen if you're on the mobile device, so click those 3 dots, hit that thumbs up. Let's get the likes up, guys. Double tap that screen. How do y'all think this is gonna play out? Will Candace stop talking about the Charlie Kirk situation and saying that she feels like it's this way and that way, you know, and just go by what they want her to go by? Or will she continue to voice her opinion, you know, or basically do her own research on this thing and keep on presenting the information to the people like she's been doing? Let me know what y'all think. We need 3 more likes, guys. Double tap that screen. 3 more likes. Double tap that screen. You know, if you're on a mobile device, so click those 3 dots, hit that thumbs up. It ain't hard. It's simple. You in here watching, double tap the screen. You know, you don't want to watch, leave. You know, we need 3 more on that like button. Double tap that screen, guys. Yeah, let's get these likes all the way up. Thank you. Thank you to everybody that hit that like button. Continue to do so if you don't mind. Subscribe to the channel if you're new.
2019, something like that. So yeah, we've known each other for a number of years. But listen, I haven't talked to her that much really since 2019-ish, and I don't know where her head is, and I'm not going to speculate on where she's going next or whatever. I'm going to just hope that the seeds planted in good faith and the olive branch that was offered, that's going to bear fruit. And like I said, in the meantime, you know, Chris, you and I have talked about this. We at Turning Point, we just want to get back to work, and we have AmFest this week. We've got all the biggest speakers in the conservative movement coming to the Phoenix Convention Center, and it's all about breakouts, action, 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 what we can do next. We've got work to do as conservatives. We got work to do to kind of bring everybody back together and stop the distractions, and that's what I'm hoping for. So I know that's what Erica, my hope is that she ultimately has accomplished that, and we'll see how it plays out.
So by the inaction and showing grace, you want the message of people to be, think whatever you want, but you don't share Candace Owens' concerns. Message sent. AmFest, what is it? What does it mean to you guys? What should it mean for us?
Yeah, AmFest is the largest conservative multi-day gathering in the country. We're going to have tens of thousands of people at this Phoenix Convention Center. We're going to have J.D. Vance is going to end the whole conference on Sunday for us. We've got Tucker Carlson, Steve Bannon, Jesse Waters, you name it, Erica Kirk. of course, is going to be there. And we're going to just have thousands of students from all across the country as well, from all these chapters that have been growing in the wake of Charlie's assassination. They are going to be coming probably to their first AmFest. And so there's nothing like it. The production value, the quality of the programming. And again, we have these breakouts, action, action, action. It was Charlie's Super Bowl event of the year. It'll be our first one that we do without him. And I fully intend and I fully expect that the team's going to make him proud.
Well, we'll be watching. We'll see what comes out of it, what the narratives are, what the angles are, and we'll be covering it here at News Nation. That I can tell you for sure. Andrew Colvett, thank you very much for. I got to tell you, honestly, I'm impressed that she met with Candace Owens. I agree with you. I think it was a tremendous demonstration of grace, though it was not returned, in my opinion. And I'm impressed that you even want to address it. I wouldn't, but I respect you doing it, Andrew. Good luck going forward. Merry Christmas. I'm always a call away.
Well, give Dusty a lot of credit there, so.
Please.
All right, so we heard how Chris Cuomo feels about this Candace Owens situation. Let's see what they're talking about on the Hill.
Of Charlie Kirk run rampant. Kirk was shot and killed at a speaking event in Utah in September, and since then there's been a war of words involving prominent conservative voices. Some have promoted conspiracies questioning the federal investigation into Kirk's death, and even accused Kirk's former colleagues of being involved. Emily Brooks joins us to discuss. She is author of the Movement newsletter, which tracks influences and debates on the political right. Hey, Emily, so you have this newsletter out today on how these conspiracies are just consuming the right. You make the point that instead of unifying the right, Charlie Kirk's assassination has divided it. Why?
Yeah, and that was a pretty surprising result to some who in the media aftermath were really thinking this is going to create a common sense of purpose against the political left. But that assumes in part that the assassin of Charlie Kirk was on the political left. And with these conspiracy theories raising questions, insinuating that perhaps there was some kind of coordination with foreign governments or even the U.S. government or even from within the Turning Point USA itself, that turns the conservative movement in on itself. And so really conservatives have been grappling with how to address this surge in conspiracy theories that has really been spearheaded by Candace Owens, the podcaster who formerly worked at Turning Point USA and was once a close friend of Charlie Kirk's. And so the fact that it's her raising this, somebody who shares an audience with a lot of other conservative commentators, who speaks to a big portion of the movement that Turning Point USA and Republicans are trying to reach, that makes it tricky.
That's not my sound. That's just how she sounds. Their sound is horrible.
For them to try, or what do? Do you say that it's all fake? Do you come out against her? Do you ignore her? It's a big dilemma for conservatives.
Yeah, so Candace Owens has been one of the loudest voices spreading conspiracy theories. She said that Tyler Robinson, the 22-year-old charged in Kirk's murder, was not the one who pulled the trigger. She questioned the authenticity of Robinson's message released by federal investigators. She also suggested that Kirk was betrayed by the leadership of Turning Point USA. All that, and then we hear yesterday that Owens met with Erica Kirk, Charlie's widow, and both said the meeting went well. What are we to make of all that?
Yeah, I think
they both said the meeting went well.
What comes out of that readout from that meeting, more from Candace Owens and Erica Kirk, will be very interesting. It's important to note that meeting came in wake of a media tour that Erica Kirk went on, explicitly asking Candace Owens to stop. Candace Owens responded saying that you tell me what I'm lying about and I'll stop, really being defiant in that. So the fact that they did meet in person is a very big development, and we'll see if it leads to a change in tune for Candace Owens, a change in approach on how Turning Point USA handles these things. But it's a difficult proposition for not only Turning Point, but for other major conservative commentators like Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Matt Walsh. All of these big podcasters who share an audience with Candace Owens have taken different approaches on how they are handling it. Tucker Carlson is saying, well, I don't trust the leadership of the FBI. And meanwhile, you have Matt Walsh putting out a video kind of saying why he doesn't believe in these conspiracy theories. So it's very delicate.
So is Candace kicking conspiracy theories, guys? That's the question. You're hearing all about how everybody else feel about it. Let's see how Erica said it went.
Kirk and podcaster Candace Owens meeting yesterday following weeks of public tensions over claims Owens made about Charlie Kirk's murder. Erica saying the two had a very productive meeting and that it's now time to get back to work. Owens reiterating that sentiment, confirming the two met for more than 4 hours on Monday. It's something that Erica says she's doing to protect those around her.
I want my team to have a peaceful Christmas. I'm not going to sit here and mudsling. Like I said earlier, I'm not going to call names. I'm not going to insult. Everyone's loved my husband and we're all trying to figure out what happened. I trust that case.
Both women say they expect more to come out publicly from their meeting very soon. Erica Kirk.
Both women expect things to come out publicly, right? So we heard Erica in her own words. Let's hear from Candace. We heard from everybody else. Let's hear from Candace. Candace, what is going on with the sit down?
Ridiculous would it have been if I'm doing all of... You guys are absolutely crazy. The amount of people who attacked me for sending out a tweet being like, hey, I'm good, I'm alive. We had a very productive conversation. And they were like, she got the call. She got the call. She's betrayed us. She's doing something else. I can't believe it. This has all just been a show. Calm down, okay? What do you think happened? Erica said, stop. And then I was frozen for 4 hours and 30 minutes, just like,
4 hour meeting.
As they just put all of these talking points into my head. That is not what happened. I keep telling you guys, I am not governable. I am basically akin to Kanye West. I never felt more seen than when he tweeted a lot of years ago, just fired my manager because I realized I can't be managed. That is me. That tweet right there, I was like, oh gosh, yes, Kanye, that I get this. Okay. Nobody is changing their mind anything. Well, how ridiculous would it have been if I'm doing all of this, investigating, asking all of these questions, and then Erica Kirk offers to answer some of these questions, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to go. I can't betray the people. I don't want any answers to the questions. I just want to ask them. No, this is the entire reason we are doing this. We've been looking at the situation going, why can't Turning Point USA just answer basic questions? And I can tell you guys that yesterday, for 4 hours and 30 minutes.
We heard from everybody else. We most definitely got to hear from Candace. We got to hear her side. We heard when we listened to the Republicans, I let y'all hear the Democrats. And now that it's Erica, we heard what her and other people had to say about how they felt. Now we get to hear how Candace feels.
No rules. They said you could ask us any question that you want, anything that's on your mind, which I appreciated. And some of you guys are thinking, who is they? Who is they? It's the Jews, obviously. Just kidding. It's Justin Strife. Justin Strife was in the room. It was just Justin Strife and Erica. George joined me just for the beginning portion of the conversation because he had that thing going on that I told you on the 15th all day. He was in a conference. And then I brought my cousin Mia, the one that has a really bad attitude. I just bring her there for vibes. I think it just confuses people. They're like, I don't understand what's this person doing here. And the reality is she's like always just listening to Cardi B music. But she's my cousin and I always have her around. And so that was it. She was kind of sitting a little bit away, but at the table, it was really just the four of us until George left. And I will be honest, I did not know what to expect going into the room.
This is what happened in the meeting, guys.
If they were going to be open, I didn't know.
Chris Cuomo said he bet she was going to be talking about it. Guess what? She talking about it. She telling us what happened in the meeting.
What Erica's energy was going to be like, if it was going to be more of an argument, if there was going to be legal threats. You guys were telling me not to drink water, so I didn't drink water. Well, I brought my own water, but I didn't drink that water too. It was a lot. There's a lot going on, okay? And the conversation started with Justin Strife very sensibly saying, what are we looking to accomplish here? Like, what is the actual aim of this conversation? And he was pretty clear And Erica was very clear that they were sort of most upset with what obviously a bit of a fever pitch, when I tweeted that it was a God-forsaken company and people should not give money to it. And I have to own that. That's aggressive. That is actually aggressive in the retrospect. I was very frustrated. And I don't know, I felt like we weren't getting any answers and there were so many lies. And then I was getting attacked for asking all meaningful questions that it was within their capacity to answer. And I told you, I definitely, my problem in life is that I can rise to anger very quickly. I shared with them that I really felt like I was under attack for telling the truth from the very beginning, like casually, when I mentioned the Catholicism thing. Like, what was that about? I was like, look, I say something in a tribute to him. Alex Clark and Andrew Colvett then jump onto a podcast and they're doing that weird interview, which is clearly aimed at me. And they've teased the interview as like aimed at me, but they never say my name. And that to me felt like it was the first, the first bit of mud that was slung, which their answer for that was, hey, that was a really crazy time. A new system had to be put into place. And by no means did Erica give any person the authority to go out and say that the Catholicism thing was a lie. It kind of turned into this big thing. Whatever. Okay, that kind of obviously was not the meat of the reason that we wanted to sit down. I will say I was immediately refreshed by the fact that one of the first things that Erica did was she owned the lies, or rather, I guess they would cage it as miscommunications that were coming from various people at the company. Like, look, this is a company with 650 people that are employed. Everybody at this time is exceedingly emotional and they are communicating, and no matter what somebody says on Twitter, they assume that this communication has come down from management, and that's not always a circumstance. But they owned right away, which felt great, that if you guys recall, Erica sat down with Glenn Beck. I actually missed this portion because I didn't get to watch the interview in its entirety, and we were pulling clips because a lot was coming out very quickly. But there was a portion that was going around that was viral, and it was Erica saying that she had Charlie's phone and that Charlie never texted anybody the night before saying that he thought that they were going to kill him. And that obviously reflected poorly on me because...
So after listening just for a little while, do y'all think she's after the truth? Or is she after the money, the clicks and the views? Because that's what the other side is saying. The other side is saying that she's doing this for a profit. She's not really sincere. And then you got the other side that says she's trying to get to the bottom of this. And she's doing it because she cares about Charlie. Because in life, they was friends. How are you feeling so far?
I was the one who said that he did, in fact, text multiple people the night before. And then I went on Jimmy Dore on Friday, Jimmy Dore's show, and I clarified. I said, Andrew Colvett told me specifically that he was one of the people that received this
text. That's the one we just seen on Chris Cuomo.
Message.
On News
so I got that first person. I didn't get that from a source. I got that directly from Andrew Colvett. And then somebody who had access to Dan Flood's communications said that Dan Flood similarly received a text message. They owned that right away and explained, Erica said that she has Charlie's phone. She's looking at his iMessages. And it turns out that he, like everybody else, communicates on Signal. He communicates on Telegram. And that those when she heard me say that, they then went and looked, and yes, that what I said was true. Andrew Colvett received a message the night before, and Dan Flood received a message the night before.
Now she's telling you some of the things that she got correct, things that when she talked to Erica and them, they admitted to. That's what she's saying.
Now they asked me if I had actually like a concrete a copy of what Dan Flood got the night before, and I said no. Somebody told me what it said, which was almost exactly what Andrew said, which is they're going to kill me. Andrew did not know who they were, that he was referring to were, but they clarified that the message that Dan Flood received said the left is going to kill me. So I can't confirm that one way or the other. I have to trust them on that because I did not see that concrete message. I was told that it said they.
So it was a message that was received that was saying that, I guess from Charlie, saying that the left was going to unalive him. That's what, y'all better listen. She's saying they agreed to these things.
I have to trust them on that because I did not see that concrete message. I was told that it said they. Now, obviously, we discussed the moment, and I'm laughing here because you TikTok that because I did not see that comment. Geese clarified that the message that Dan Flood received said the left is going to kill me. So I can't confirm that one way or the other. I have to trust Dan Flood received said the left is going to kill me. So I can't confirm that one way or the other. I have to trust them on that because I did not see that concrete message. I was told that it said they. Now, obviously,
it was told that she was told that it said they, which is from this meeting that she had with Erica Kirk. And she's basically breaking down some of the things that they admitted that I guess she was right about.
Discussed the moment, and I'm laughing here because you TikTokers are actually out of control. You guys are going to be the reason that Israel gets TikTok because you guys are acting a fool all the time. And the videos were so hilarious of you guys mocking the Bari Weiss interview. It's great. It's good to laugh at ourselves. And Bari Weiss is always worth laughing at. But I was sort of like, hey, I felt name checked by the podcaster, Candace Owens, this obvious setup, and then asking me to stop. And it's interesting to hear Erica say that the reason she didn't ask me to stop in the beginning because she was actually learning things from the show. She was actually learning things.
Erica said she was learning things
I
from
think
the
she
show.
similarly felt that Bari Weiss was trying to create a moment. Obviously, it's who Bari Weiss is. It's the Zionist lobby. She's trying to right perceived wrongs because I'm against her side. That does not surprise me. That's kind of why Bari Weiss exists. That's the reason they put her at CBS, is because she's just committed to stacking the audience with people that are going to present the pro-Israel cause and talk about anti-Semitism and talk about like crime being on the rise. It's kind of an embarrassment, but I actually do accept that. And I should also clarify that Bari Weiss obviously picked those questions. They were not random, like I told you. It wasn't like people were coming to the mic and it was an open mic and they didn't know if they were going to get. It was all very much planned by Bari, but Erica said that she knew the general idea, like they were going to mention me and mention the conspiracies, but she was not given that specific, the podcaster, Candace Owens, question. So I think that's fair to clear that up. Now, I did not at all recant any of my suspicions, and I understand people disagree with me about particular people at Turning Point USA. I communicated what I communicated in front of the whole world. My skin crawled after I spoke to Terrell Farnsworth, the person who took the cameras down. He lied to me several times. I explained to them, which felt good to have that direct communication, how Terrell lied multiple times, and that I did not understand why he was there that day. They echoed what he said. They defended what he said, that they were trying something new that day, that they typically live stream, which is what Terrell said. They typically live stream, and I said every college event. Well, they said, well, yeah, they live stream the events that are tour stops, but they don't live stream like the outside prove me wrong type events. And that was something that was new and it required Terrell. And I said, even if that was all real, if that was all true, I still didn't feel good about the conversation that I had with Terrell, and I can't ignore my gut about the many little lies that he told. I thought the video he recorded was weird. I know he comes from a very powerful family. I personally do not trust him. And I obviously do not like the fact that I said, Tyler Boyer lied about this thing and came up with an excuse and said, well, Terrell was asked to take the camera down. That's the reason, he said on Twitter, because the police wanted him to take it down and secure the footage. And I said, I know that's not true. And they said, well, after all of that, after he took the cameras down, there was a police officer or Fed, whoever it was, that spoke to him and asked him to secure the footage. Well, that makes sense, but it's not a reason for why he took it down immediately. It makes sense that as you're investigating, you're going to say, who's got the footage? Let's lock it down. But it didn't make sense to me that Tyler Boyer lied about it. And I don't trust Tyler Boyer. And that is never going to change. Similarly with Rob McCoy.
And she told them this. This is what she's saying. She told them directly to Erica and whoever else was in the room during this private sit down. This is the things that she told them.
He makes my skin crawl. I can't explain it. I look at him and he's a bad person and nobody can make me feel one way or the other about that. I was surprised to learn, and this kind of gets into, I guess, us not knowing the inner workings at Turning Point USA, that Rob McCoy actually does not work with Turning Point USA in any capacity whatsoever. And so him communicating as he has done, like, I'm the pastor, I'm this, I'm that, it's just not real. Like, that is not real. And we should know that that's not real. And when he says that, call him out on that separately from Turning Point USA. I was operating under the assumption that he worked for Turning Point USA. And I said, if obviously that's wrong, I'm happy to correct that. But also, what were we to assume when he hit the stage at the memorial and said, I'm America's pastor, and then had the Wikipedia updated and said, well, I'm assuming he had it updated because who else would do that he started Turning Point USA Faith. So I guess, to be clear, we were just wrong about that. And I will have a lot more to say about Rob McCoy and where I believe he fits into a lot of things. So I'm not letting up on that. Now, one piece of this where I still don't understand it, and the magic bullet. Okay. Now we all recall what happened. I casually say on the show, hey, I saw the footage. There was no blood. And honestly, when I said it, I didn't process how big of a deal that was with the 30-06. Very quickly, what happens is Andrew Colvett whips up this tweet about what happened with the bullet, and he said he wanted to address all the discussion that was being had about the online chatter. I'm obviously paraphrasing here. He says, I apologize, it's going to get graphic, but he spoke with the surgeon. The bullet should have gone through. The surgeon then explained that what he's typically seen on these wounds, and basically this was all a miracle. Charlie saved lives, even in death. And the internet clocked it, this miracle, the healthy bone. His bone was so healthy and the density was so impressive. Like, this is a quote, by the way. His bone was so healthy. I want to read it. This is allegedly from the surgeon. Quote, his bone was so healthy and the density was so impressive that he's like the Man of Steel. It should have gone through and through. It likely would have killed those standing behind him too. And we were just like...
It's obvious. She's not stopping, guys.
That kind of was like the beginning of the WTF, right? I feel like that was kind of the beginning of it. And immediately people in the comments responded to Andrew, and he said, this individual said, this post is so fake as it would violate HIPAA. Like, there's patient privacy. You can't just call up the surgeon. And then Andrew Colvett replies and says, rest assured, I would not have posted without full permission. Now, he said he spoke to the surgeon, and they confirmed that Andrew spoke to the surgeon, but that they did not know that he was going to write that tweet. They did not know that he called up the surgeon. So, like, it very much came across to me like Andrew was just flying by the seat of his pants. I don't know. Like, he was just flying dark on me. And I was like, that seems very strange to me, because why would a surgeon do that? Like, the first thing the surgeon should say is, I can't speak to you. I don't even know, in theory, Andrew wasn't even there when Charlie died. I don't even know why the surgeon even knows this guy, actually. Maybe he hung around after, but, you know, Andrew was not one of the people that got into the hospital or anything like that. So this is quite literally the PR guy who's calling the surgeon. And so that just seems very inappropriate for a person to do, period. And I would say it was kind of the beginning, but that was what I got from that. Now, obviously, we discussed the security. I brought up Brian Harpole, this interview with Sean Ryan, and I think we can believe Turning Point when they say that they did not approve of this. They had no idea he was going on Sean Ryan. I think that's pretty clear. I don't believe he works there anymore. So that was kind of him, just getting out there and perhaps trying to rescue his own reputation. And I think that only made his reputation worse, actually, because people rightfully sensed that he wasn't telling the truth in that interview, that he was being cagey, that he was saying things that didn't make any sense. Again, you constantly have these people that believe, like Brian Harpole, that with enough performance, he can sit down and you're just going to convince people that this is real. And this is just a different time. Like I said, these TikTokers are out of control. They will check you in 4 seconds. Okay. Things that the biggest piece of this that I want to communicate, and that I did communicate to them, and I hope that they took me seriously on this, or rather that they take my strong advice on this. I said, one of the reasons why I really want to sit down is because I want to walk out of here and feel confident saying to my audience, hey, like, there's stuff going on behind the scenes, but Tyler Robinson, the podcaster, shot Charlie Kirk. Like, that more will come out, but you can take it from me that this is what happened. I was looking to achieve that because there's been a lot of signaling from various people, some people who are experts.
And hold on, so that was the reason why I did this. What did I do with it? It's the reason why I just did that. Where'd you go? I lost it. Oh, there it go. This is what Erica said.
Candace Owens, okay? At one time, a friend of Charlie's, at one time, an employee of Turning Point. She has been one of the main peddlers of these conspiracies, and she is making a huge amount of money on it. She is building her business off of these lies.
This is what they say.
What do you want to say to her and the other people that are putting these lies out into the world right now?
Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop. Stop.
That are putting these lies out into the world right now.
Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop.
That's how Erica felt about it. She wanted her to stop. But it appears that Candace, is keeping her foot on the gas.
Some people who have been involved in cases that there's obviously going to be stuff that the public does not have access to. And so it is at least plausible that they have seen very clear footage that we've been asking for of Tyler Robinson getting up there and taking the shot. Like, they have access to UVU cameras. So I was hoping to hear that. And I said that I want to hear why people feel so confident at Turning Point USA that Tyler Robinson is the guy. And at this point, they elected to call the lawyer, their lawyer who is involved in this case, one of the lawyers that's involved in this case. There's always a team of lawyers, especially for something like this. And what I got from the lawyer did not make me feel that Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk. It did not make me feel confident that he didn't or did shoot Charlie Kirk. I was very surprised by this. He spoke a very long time. I asked, can you share with me what it is? And I said, when you share this with me, I will not say what that thing is. If we want to protect the integrity of the case, I'm not gonna, if you say, we've got the footage of him taking a shot, I promise I won't say that to the audience, but I will communicate to them that you have something that is solid. And no, to the exact contrary, this guy he said that they have nothing but the affidavit. Okay, so what we have seen is what they have. What is being discussed publicly, this whole non-expert problem with you don't know. It's what you read, his messages that don't have any dates on it, Tyler Robinson writing out everything in the clean alibi. That's what they have. And what he explained to me was that that's the affidavit stage.
Let's take time to double tap that screen, guys. Get the likes up. If you're on a mobile device, double tap that screen and click the 3 dots. Hit that thumbs up. That's how you hit the like button, guys. Let's get the likes moving. Double tap that screen or click the 3 dots. Hit that thumbs up, guys. It helps out the channel. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. This is everything that I know, regarding the Erica Kirk and Candace Owens private meeting, guys.
And then what takes place now is the investigation is ongoing, right? So right now they're looking for more information, and once investigators, they could very well have obviously footage, and that is why they might feel that, we're definitely gonna get this prosecution. But the reality is they don't actually share that information with the victim. They don't share that information with Erica. They don't, in this part of the process, they will not know what investigators had discovered. This is what the lawyer told me, until May. Okay, they have not seen anything that you have not seen, is what I want you to know. So with that in mind, I'm sitting here going, why are you signaling, why do I feel like the public's being gaslit on this? There's been nothing that's convincing. There are so many commentators who have gone out and said to you, it's overwhelming. The evidence is overwhelming. The text messages that don't have a date, that don't even sound real, that's overwhelming. That to me feels really fake and gay. I really do want to say that to every commentator that is out there trying to tell the public and insisting that if you say it enough times it'll become real, you're actually just being dishonest. And I offered that a more honest way to communicate would be to say, we think he's involved. We feel strongly, I've said that, I think he's involved. We are very hopeful that throughout this investigation, we are going to get that concrete thing. And that's where we're at right now. That's just the stage that we are at. That is not what we are getting from them. That is I just feel like that's really important to let you guys know. let the gaslighting stop. They have what you have, okay? There is nothing else. They are in an investigative stage. Erica has been named as the victim. They will know more in this May hearing, which is the probable cause hearing. That's what the lawyer told me, it's probable cause hearing. And that's when they will see the evidence. That's when they get to present the evidence, why they are going to stand there before a judge and be like, yes, we need to move this forward. It's not just an affidavit. We're not pulling together scraps. We have concrete evidence. Until then, okay, until we all get on the same page and understand what else they have, I am very confident stating the opposite of all of my, I guess, well-paid peers, in that I don't believe that Tyler Robinson pulled the trigger. And what I also said to them was, and I said this in front of the lawyer, because I don't know why I'm like this. I was like, you might need a new lawyer. I was like, because this person's trying to sell to you that this is solid. One of the rules that me and my husband have is that if you have a lawyer that tells you, like, you're 100% going to win, it's very clear that you're going to win, you need a new lawyer. Okay, that's a cheerleader. That's not a lawyer. A lawyer, even if you should 100% win, should be telling you the risks here. You know, I feel good about this case. Like, let me talk real to you. I feel good about this case, but here's where things could go wrong. I want you to understand those risks that are involved. We don't have this yet. We don't have that yet. And especially given what I told them, which is your lawyers, or the investigators rather, not their lawyers, because they're not the ones investigating. It's the state of Utah that's investigating. They have not called the one solitary person, as I told you guys, who filmed as he was on the roof. Remember the guy that's like, oh, there's somebody on the roof, and he sees him crouch down. I said, I spoke to that person, and his testimony would be devastating to your prosecution. He saw the person on the roof. He filmed the person on the roof at 12:23 p.m. and he did not see that person take the shot. And this is not some random student. This is a guy
She said
who
she
trains
told
people
him
to
that,
shoot
guys.
guns at a range. He knows guns, okay? He said what he saw was a smaller gun. He said that this person was dressed in black tactical gear and there was no recoil. That's devastating. That would be devastating to the prosecution. And yet, investigators haven't reached out. Now, they offered back, well, maybe they haven't reached out because they have an even clearer video. And that's true. That's actually a good rebuttal. They're like, we don't even have to talk to this guy because the video will speak for itself, and we saw what we saw. Okay, but wouldn't you still want to speak to the other guy so you could prepare? I don't know, to question him something. I don't like that this investigation is going on, and I feel as though I spoke to more people than they have. Both of the people who filmed videos that day told me that they weren't reached out to. So I don't understand what's happening here. I don't understand the confidence, I guess, is the best way to say this. I told them I do not understand the confidence that is happening. Now, another really big thing that happened was they brought me Mikey's call logs, okay? They brought me Mikey's call logs, and that is why I said this was a productive meeting. There is no other way to say it. I asked every question, and they came with paperwork to show and to answer and to explain certain things. Also, which was, I thought, actually kind of sweet, that I guess I did on the previous show. I was like kind of looking at things into Mikey, and I couldn't find him. And someone said, I think Mikey's not his real name. They thought it was his middle name, actually. And I just assumed, okay, well, maybe he's using.
Now, Candace says that she doesn't feel like Tyler Robinson is the actual unaliver, guys. You know what I'm saying? This whole debate got people up in arms. Everybody's feeling a different way,
So
guys.
today, Charlie Kirk's suspected killer is making his first in-person court appearance.
A Utah judge will hear arguments about media access and consider the defense request to ban cameras in the courtroom.
Janley Painter joins us now with the details. Janley.
Hey, good morning. The accused assassin, Tyler Robinson, will be in court as his lawyers push to further limit media access in the case. A coalition of national and local news organizations is fighting it. The judge must weigh the public's right to know details of the case against his attorney's concerns that the media attention could interfere with Robinson's right to a fair trial. Robinson's defense has already asked the judge to ban cameras in the courtroom, something Charlie Kirk's widow, Erica, opposes, calling for full transparency and access of her husband's murder case.
There were cameras all over my husband when he was murdered. There have been cameras all over my friends and family mourning. There have been cameras all over me, analyzing my every move, analyzing my every smile, my every tear. We deserve to have cameras in there.
The 22-year-old faces numerous charges in the shooting death of Charlie Kirk on September 10th, including aggravated murder, felony discharge of a firearm, and 2 counts of obstruction. Prosecutors have said they intend to seek the death penalty in this case, guys.
Yep, it all begins, and it's going to be drawn out. Thanks so much, Chanley. Appreciate it.
He has to wear street clothes in court for these pretrial hearings. He has to be shackled, but you can't take a picture of him or be filmed because they don't want the jury pool to be tainted.
Yeah, they want safety in the courtroom because obviously he's been suicidal as well.
Just some facts on what's going on with Tyler Robinson,
before
guys.
he turned himself in.
And how they feel about the conspiracy theories. We'll get back to Candace in a minute.
Meanwhile, Ainsley's a powerful moment from Erica Kirk. There's been a lot of nonsense online, conspiracy theories, and I think she has had it. And she finally,
you can tell she's done. She's
let the country know what's on her mind. Here she is.
I do not have time to address the noise. My silence does not mean that I am complacent. My silence does not mean that somehow Turning Point USA and all of the handpicked staff that loved my husband and my husband loved them is somehow in on it. We are busy building. We are all grieving in our own way. And they are trying to find the answer to something that happened that was so evil. They are trying so hard. And I get that. We're doing the same. Anytime we hear a lead or anytime we hear anything, we send it to the authorities. Please dig into this. No rock will be unturned. I want justice for my husband, for myself, for my family, more than anyone else out there. So for me, you want to keep telling me to come down while we're building? I don't have time for that. But here's my breaking point on that. Come after me, call me names, I don't care. Call me what you want, go down that rabbit hole, whatever. But when you go after my family, my Turning Point USA family, my Charlie Kirk Show family, when you go after the people that I love, and you're making hundreds and thousands of dollars every single episode, going after the people that I love because somehow they're in on this, no.
You know, I have to say it. I've never seen you like this.
No, this is righteous anger because this is not okay. It's not healthy. This is a mind virus. Yes, I believe in our judicial system. I do. We have a hell of a team working on this. Excuse my French. Just know that your words are very powerful and we are human. My team are not machines and they're not robots. They are human. We have more death threats on our team and our side than I have ever seen. I have kidnapping threats. I have, you name it, we have it. And my poor team is exhausted. And every time they bring this back up, what are we supposed to do? Relive that trauma all over again? They watched my husband get murdered. I have no idea how I would have reacted if I was there that day. And thank the good Lord that I did not have to see that happen. But my team, they are rocked to the core. So why every single day do they have to be dragged through the mud, analyzed, hyper-analyzed? And if people think that I was just gonna wilt away, I'm not gonna sit in a corner and cry and be in fetal position. This is a duty to my husband and it's an absolute honor.
A couple of things. I mean, you know, she's referring to certain podcasters, and one of
Candace
Owens was very tight with Charlie Kirk for a couple of years, worked with the organization, that they were negotiating to bring on their podcast. They came out with a different theory every day, one of which is there were people at Turning Point that wanted to see him killed. Think about that. I mean, it's absolutely asinine, but a bunch of people click on it, you go to watch it, and she gets a lot of money. And then you have other people who say the Israelis were concerned that Charlie Kirk was no longer going to support him, so they killed him. I mean, think about that. So then, meanwhile, not only is the FBI working this case and the best people working the case, they're family friends. Dan Bongino and Kash Patel are family friends. I mean, they would have been doing something to help out anyway, let alone the two most powerful people of the investigation. So she's like, where's the logic here? Why would these two people do anything but follow the right leads to find out who was involved, who did this, and who else may have been involved? So she is totally fed up with it because not only are they disturbing, but people are making money off it, and she's really concerned about the trial itself.
Yeah, and she said if there were some sort of a conspiracy theory, I would know about it. I am friends with the individuals in the FBI. They have interviewed me. We have all been talking about this. I know the details more than anybody else. other than the investigators. She said, I was his wife. And I also respected, she's been criticized for, people are saying, where is he buried? Was he buried? All of this nonsense. And she said, that is ours as a family. My 2 children and me, I was his wife. That's the one thing I need that I can't share with America, because she doesn't want to go visit her husband's grave and then be inundated with protesters or with people who are there just to get a picture of her. She needs that privacy, and I respect that.
So a couple things. I'm glad that she finally responded to this
Me
because
too.
she's been working.
Me too.
She's been working. She's been grieving. I think it's totally sad that people are taking advantage of. There's a lot of Americans out there that have distrusting government and investigations, rightfully so, because there's been a lot of corruption. And so they're taking advantage of that distrust that Americans already have and that the audience already has and using it for a moment. The second thing, I think it's absolutely disgusting to call yourself a friend of Charlie for all these years and allow his wife to just be pummeled with these conspiracies. Don't call yourself a friend. If I'm dying, I expect my friends to defend my widow and my children. So to see people either silent about it or or piling on with the main corporate of this, I think it's pretty disgusting.
And now when the trial gets underway and you see it, it's going to really heat up. But there's a huge theory out there. Now all of a sudden 9/11 is an inside job and we never landed on the moon. I mean, this is where you go with people now when you talk to them.
Conspiracy theories.
You don't know where people are going or where they get this stuff from, but we know where this came from.
100%.
I'm Steve Doocy. I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm crazy, huh? Yeah, so they saying, hey, man, they sick and it's disgusting. That's what they said. That's what they saying. All right, let's go. Let's hear what
in his
Candace
middle
got
name,
to
and that's
say.
why I can't find him. But Mikey really wants you guys to know that is his real name, and it is his real name. I found out shortly thereafter that they were confusing his middle name with, they thought it was switched. Michael is his real name, just to clarify that, because I realized I actually didn't go back and clarify that. But Mikey's call logs, big piece of this, okay? I'm going to, I guess, jog your memory on what Blake said about Mikey that day, and then I'll tell you what actually happened, because I don't think Blake has that great of a memory. Okay, take a listen.
So I was not with Mikey, or I don't remember being with him. I think I was ahead of him as we left. And then we get out, and I run for, can't have been more than 15 or 20 seconds. And then I realized there hasn't been another shot, so the shooter has likely been detained or stopped or something, not in immediate danger. I pause, I look around me, and I see Mikey. And I see Mikey there. And truthfully, I will never forget what I saw, because I've seen Mikey almost every day for the past 2 years. I know his personality very well. He's a very bubbly guy. He's a very happy guy almost all of the time. And I'll never forget what I saw, because it was clear in the moment that he was profoundly freaked out. What I'll always remember is the way his lip was quivering, which I'd never seen before. And you very rarely see from someone that he was freaking out. And then I think he literally said to me, I might be imagining this, but I think what he literally said was, he was looking around, and then he says, I need to call Erica. And then he takes his phone and he begins calling Erica. And I don't want to disclose how that call unfolded, but he did that. Your mind extends all of this, but that is happening within a minute of all of this occurring. I remember he calls Erica. Around the same time, I pull out my phone and I call my mom just to say, Mom, there's been a shooting. You're going to see it on the news. I'm okay. Pray for me. I've got to go. And I remember that call. And around the time I put that phone away, and then he immediately calls his dad. He calls Rob McCoy. And he says, Dad, someone shot Charlie. You need to call all of your pastor friends. Charlie was hit. We need everyone to pray right now. And that's what he told him.
Okay, so that's just not right. And so when he says, I might be imagining this, for I'll never forget, followed by I might be imagining this, probably means that maybe you forgot and like you really could be imagining. Now, for me personally, I think the normal physiological response in these high adrenaline situations for most people is you lock in. Like they're literally your body, when it goes through something, when it's terrified and is going through sort of like you are really paying
She
attention.
going through this situation with a fine-tooth comb, guys. Do y'all feel like she's trying to get to the money, or is she trying to get to the truth? That is the question.
Attention to details. We've learned about this many times over in health class growing up. This is why they talk about that fight or flight response, and quite literally there's stuff happening to your body. And so there's a lot of details here that are just not accurate. And the one that surprised me the most about these call logs is I certainly feel that we were given the impression over and over and over again that
somebody said she going for the truth. Somebody said she has lost her mind. When he was 50 yards from you, okay. She's fine, okay. I don't know, definitely waiting to see. Hey, she wants the truth. Okay, all right.
First person Mikey called was Erica, right? He called Erica. We were told this by many people also that he trained, like he almost like went to a camp and trained, and Charlie was like 1, 2, 3 go, and like fast 1, 2, 3 go. Go. That's why he walked away. 1, 2, 3 go, and just told him this is what the first thing you do is. Well, he didn't do that. Actually, the first person he called was his wife. He called Elizabeth McCoy, and then he stayed on the phone with his wife for 10 minutes. And during those 10 minutes, he three-wayed Erica 3 minutes after the shot went off. And then he three-ways his father, and then he three-ways a third person who I'm not interested in mentioning.
She got notes, guys. She got notes. I'm just saying, she is all over the top of this situation. I'm talking about piece by piece. She got times, she got notes.
Because it's not relevant. This is Danny McCoy, by the way, is his brother that's in the military, but that's before the shot goes off. Charlie Kirk shot goes off. You know, I have that in detail. Charlie's brought to security. Mikey McCoy calls his wife. They will stay on the phone for 10 minutes. Okay. In that same minute, because we know this, because Blake Neff has given us his call log to his mother. Blake Neff called his mom. His call with his mother lasted 45 seconds. So we're assuming it went to 12:25. It very well could have stayed in 12:24, depending on the millisecond. Blake Neff ends that phone call with his mother.
Did she say millisecond? Oh, she timing it to the millisecond, guys. Candace say she all the way in there. Yeah, she said that depending on the millisecond.
Mikey McCoy, after the phone call with his mother ends, adds Erica to the phone. Okay, so that when he was recapping and he's like, oh, his lips quivering and he's like, I gotta call Erica. And he's like, and then I called my mom. That's not right. That's just not right. Okay, Mikey called Erica after Blake Neff ended that phone call with his mother. If call logs are to be believed above, human testimony. Mikey McCoy then drops Erica from the phone call 2 minutes later, and then he adds his father to the phone call. Again, he is this entire time on the phone with his wife, okay? And then Mikey McCoy ends his phone call with his father. He does call another person who I'm not mentioning because it's just not relevant to anything, not a character in the story, rather. And then he ends the phone call with his wife, and a minute later, his brother calls him back, and they stay on the phone for 10 minutes. I did not get this from everybody speaking about this Mikey McCoy call log. I know that you guys did not get this. I did not get this. I don't know why she was disappeared from this. Like, you could go, like, the wife wants privacy. No, she was like, main stage at the memorial, has been, I would say very involved in a lot of this kind of, I think it's very close that she's close with Erica. They went on the vacation together. So
somebody says she's speculating right now.
I don't get this disappearing act. I found that to be like, okay, but they were forthcoming with it. That feels good. That feels good, guys. Like, wow, we don't have to guess. Now we have solid answers. And like I said, when you come out and give solid answers and you're not weird and calling people names and saying all this stuff, it allows people to go, okay, I feel a bit more like we can trust this process because we have communication. That's the reality. And so I wanted to update you with that. Also, another thing that really, I think, surprised them and I think surprised me is getting back to this.
She's talking about her meeting with Erica Kirk, guys, and the things she showed and told them. Some she was right about, some they tweaked. I'm just saying.
Hamptons retreat. The thing about the Hamptons retreat, and I communicated this with them, that makes me so uncomfortable is how many little lies were told. I think I've been clear about that. Like, Seth Dillon definitively pressed Charlie at this event Now, whether it was in a hypothetical, which it was in a hypothetical, but he got fired up in the hypothetical of Charlie discussing potentially tweeting something against Bibi Netanyahu, it did lead to this firecracker moment. Again, this is one of those things where I go, why am I always being hung out to dry for telling people the truth? Especially when I wasn't going, oh, well, Seth Dillon killed Charlie Kirk. I just, this happened. It factually happened. And yet everybody's kind of putting out these weird statements and they're not being honest in them. And I was saying to them, that made me feel really weird. And I would love to know more about this Bibi Netanyahu offer to fund Turning Point to the next level. At which point, Erica said she was not aware of that happening. It is obviously totally possible that that was kept in the business lane of Turning Point USA. But I'm certain, I said, I am absolutely certain that I did not get this from an obscure source, that Bibi offered to fund Turning Point to the next level. And it was part of my frustration with that sit down with Alex Clark, where Andrew said, oh, there was not $150 million that's made up. I told them, Andrew Kovac was my source. Andrew Kovac told me verbatim that Bibi Netanyahu offered to take Turning Point to the next level and that Charlie turned that money down. So I said there's a bit of a predicament when I'm being lambasted by all of these voices and people that are attacking me and these paid campaigns. And when I say paid, yes, okay, actually have the names of people. Different ways they're being paid. Some are being paid by PR firms. Too many are being paid by Prager University, which is upsetting to me because I know Marissa and it's just dirty. But it's especially crazy when people are calling it a conspiracy, when I share things that are told to me from the spokesperson of Turning Point USA. Okay, that's weird. And
she don't like the conspiracy narrative. That's what she said. She telling y'all what they telling her.
And yes, they were forthcoming, and nobody's ever denied this. So this was not on our list of lies about the fact that Bibi Netanyahu did call him. Okay, that did happen. Bibi shared that, by the way. Our source for that could have just as well been Bibi Netanyahu. And not a lot of clarity on.
All right, so the president of Israel or whatever, the Net Netanyahu dude, she's saying that he did try to do business with Charlie. So there is an Israel connection there somewhere. That's what she's saying, because it's a fact now, that he tried to do business with Charlie Kirk, and I think Charlie turned it down.
I don't know why some people think he didn't make this offer, and why definitively 3 different sources who would have knowledge of this confirmed to me that Bibi Netanyahu did indeed make this offer. I never said $150 million ever, not once on the show. I wouldn't have even said that, by the way. If you said take Turning Point to the next level, I actually would have assumed it was more, if I'm being honest. That's a hefty offer, and it leads to a lot of questions. So there was not a lot of clarity there. Lastly, I want to add, of course, I was locked in this meeting when people on live were another round of debunking the Egyptian planes. I want to be very clear. We discussed the Egyptian planes, and I have since worked on.
She discussed, all right, the Egyptian planes that were following Charlie and Erica. She said she brought that up to him in this private meeting.
An incredible document about the Egyptian planes, which we are going to put up on our website, because I realized that when we shared that spreadsheet, people assumed that one of the columns, which was actually saying where the planes landed on that day, because it was plus or minus 3 days, was exactly where Erica had been on that day, and that was inaccurate. And so for clarity, I had been working on the last week on turning it into an interactive timeline that we can put up on our website, because I'm certain that these Egyptian planes are incredibly shady, and that they were in fact tracking Turning Point USA faith broader events. Of course, Erica was at some of them, Charlie was at some of them, but it is the pattern here is undeniable. So let the naysayers and people make videos trying to, 5th round debunk these planes. I also want to say to you that I feel very confident that I know why these planes have caused such panic, and it is because there is overwhelming evidence.
I think she might have told all of this too. I think she ain't lying when she say I told him this too. I think she really told him all of this.
These planes regularly fly in and out of Israel, and I'm going to present that evidence tomorrow. I say that strongly. This is I feel very confident.
All right, so tomorrow she's releasing things about the planes. which means she ain't stopping, guys. Even though she had to sit down, she's still gonna go.
Saying these Egyptian planes are flying in and out. And notice I'm saying planes because once I was able to connect people that were on those planes onto other Egyptian planes, I was able to realize that these planes are flying in and out of Israel and turning their transponder off each time that they do it. That is now makes perfect sense of why there was.
So Erica, when you know what I'm saying, when you asked her, you said what you said. I don't think that it was received real, Erica. You know what I'm saying? I don't think she gonna stop.
These conspiracies, and she is making a huge amount of money on it. She is building her business off of these lies. What do you want to say to her and the other people that are putting these lies out into the world right now?
Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop.
I don't think she's stopping no time soon. I ain't gonna even play with you. She's not stopping.
Has this mass panic, right? It's not exactly like we have a strong Egyptian lobby in the United States. Now we're like, whoa, well, those darn Egyptians again are trying to get TikTok censored. I mean, every person in the game, Barry, acting. Well, these are the usual suspects that act if something is a threat to Israel, okay? Which is, they should have just been forthcoming, pretended that it was changing apart. Instead, they're trying to gaslight us, and they're actually, frankly, just pissing me off. So I became locked in on these Egyptian planes because that's how I am, okay? You keep pushing me and keep pushing me, I will become an expert on these planes. I'll learn how to build an Egyptian plane. And the reality is, like I said, tomorrow I will show you how these planes tie back to Israel. And there's no disproving this. So more on that later. We'll be right back after throwing into some of our sponsors.
Yeah. Candace ain't stopping, guys. She ain't stopping.
That is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau.
You can believe that
thousands
she is not
of
stopping.
free that these attacks, which have grown hysterical, like I can't even begin to tell you the conversations between me and my PR person. I'm like, there's nothing to respond to. I mean, there's not even one sentence of this that is true. Case in point, by the way, New York.
She all the way in. She doing research. She making notes. She got it down to the millisecond. Yeah, she most definitely ain't stopping. And she said something about them Egyptian planes, and she gonna put that out tomorrow, which is lets you know that she ain't stopping. If she putting out something tomorrow, they just had the meeting. She putting out some more stuff about the Egyptian plane, which alludes to the same theory that she has that it was like a setup or something like that, an inside job. She says she putting out something on some planes tomorrow. She not stopping.
Post does this article today. We were actually laughing, okay? Like, inside Candace Owens' sadistic and dangerous world, monetizing baseless conspiracies. This is after, by the way, they changed my husband's Wikipedia and said that he was a Qatari, like he had a Qatari passport or citizenship. I don't think my husband's ever even flown over Qatar. I could be wrong, but I know he's never been to Qatar. I don't think he's ever flown over Qatar. And they're just making it up, and then they make it trend no matter what it is. And I'm like, this is happening. It's like a psychological operation because they're trying to keep us constantly responding as opposed to focusing on our investigation, which is why I spent this weekend and I just kept down on the Egyptian planes because it's completely crazy. And when you see a media storm like this, it can only be happening because Zionists are locking arms and going attack because they by and large control the media. They just do. Okay, one way or the other, Zionists control the empire medias, and they are scared about something in this investigation. We've noticed that from the very beginning. So they wrote in this article, the New York Post, just to give you an example of how insane this is. They said they had an inside source that told them that while I was at the Daily Wire, I just fought with people from the very source that in my first week, I threw my car keys at a producer and expected them to park my car. That sentence genuinely made me laugh so hard because I never once in the entire time that I worked for the Daily Wire did I ever drive my car to work. Okay, I just didn't. They had a driver that took me there. So I don't know why I would suddenly take the driver's keys and then throw it at somebody, but quite literally, I never drove the Daily Wire. So it's just when I say fan fiction, I'm like, this is fan fiction. Secondly, they say I did that to a producer and that I conducted demand
when
others
they just met and it's just over just like that. Listen to Candace
They
Owens'
still
take on
at
the
it.
meeting.
4.5 hours later, I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm totally fine, and I'm sorry. I was going to do a show for you guys this evening, but I am truly exhausted. Very productive.
The USA, really? Really? When they just met? And it's just over?
She's still
Just like
at it.
that? Listen to Candace Owens' take on the meeting.
4.5 hours later, I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm totally fine, and I'm sorry. I was going to do a show for you guys this evening, but I am truly exhausted. Very productive conversation. I asked every single question. I mean, from Egyptian planes to Turning Point USA Faith, and I was very surprised by some of the answers that I got, and I think they were also very surprised when I shared certain intel. This probably should have happened a very long time ago, but I wanted to let you guys know that I am alive.
I am alive? I mean, how do you take this seriously? Why do you guys keep asking me questions about this? Egyptian airplanes. I'm alive? Who is she meeting with? Hamas? Or a widow who is graciously
We just got through, hearing her talk about those Egyptian planes too.
trying to squash the fake furor surrounding her husband's murder? You talk about performative. And then she's at a party with the same people? I mean, come on, man. Pick up on the game already and stop rewarding people for playing you. It's just performative. And that's also my takeaway from the Susie Wiles interview, by the way. I know it's all the buzz. I'm not going into it really tonight because everybody's saying everything that needs to be said. All right? The point that the people around the president are often posers is true. Saying Vance's conversion from a never Trumper to MAGA acolyte had nothing to do with principle, but was purely politics is true. He was running for Senate at the time. You know it.
Yeah, he on some other stuff, but I did find the part where she played what she said.
Furor.
USA Faith asked every later. I'm
just over? Just like that? Listen to Candace Owens' take on the meeting.
4.5 hours later, I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm totally fine, and I'm sorry. I was going to do a show for you guys this evening, but I am truly exhausted. Very productive conversation. I asked every single question. I mean, from Egyptian planes to Turning Point USA Faith, and I was very surprised by some of the answers that I got, and I think they were also very surprised when I shared certain intel. This probably should have happened a very long time ago, but I wanted to let you guys know that I am alive.
Yeah, what Candace said. She is alive, guys. Yeah, she's most definitely still talking. She ain't stopped nothing.
My research could not be further from the truth. I have always done my own shows. I can't read a script. I riff my shows. I think that's pretty obvious. That I demanded a huge studio, attempted to use their PR firm to get the cover of People magazine, like full fan fiction. There's not even a shred. I don't even think we ever had a conversation about People magazine because that would not be a normal outlet for any conservatives. That I wanted to be on the cover of People is insane. And they said that their sources also said that like my team hated me. My team came with me when I got fired. My whole team's here. So I was just going, okay, what is happening here? Why are we talking about Qatar? Why are they making these things up? And I have come to the same conclusion as you. It is because we are dangerously close to something. I think we have to keep pushing on the Huachuca Air Base, which we are doing. And tomorrow we are going to get back into the investigation. We're just going to ignore the noise because, as I have said and as I have maintained, I believe that Charlie was betrayed by people that are close to him. And I asked that question in the meeting. I'm like, okay, if we can agree that everyone around, I was like, I know there are people at Turning Point, they're not good people, right? And it's feasible that people, if they have addictions, that they, you can definitively get yourself in a scenario where you are willing to sell somebody out. This is a massive organization. How can we so confidently state that nobody had anything to do here, to do with anything here? And I think that one of the things that Erica was like, well, I'm not like a feminist, and I didn't want the vibe of that, which I think it did come across like a bit of a feminist, to say like, this is all my family. I'm like, how could this all be your family? I know people in this family, and they're not good people. I wouldn't even do that with my own family, okay? I got people in my family, like we all do, who aren't exactly walking a straight arrow in life. And yeah, so I've communicated that. I have not changed my position on that. I am not going to stop researching the characters in this that I don't feel good about.
She just said she won't stop researching them, that she don't feel, so she gonna keep going.
But further to sort of them just creating and making things up, Tim Pool has now gone out and extraordinarily claimed that I have the same security as Charlie Kirk, and that I'm a fraud, and that actually I have the exact same security. You will recall that Tim just said a week ago that I have no security. Okay, this is Tim Pool a week ago.
She is burning everything down, and she's gloating and smiling while she does it. And you know what you told me? She has no security. She doesn't deal with the we have to deal with. She's a piece of
Whoa!
He has security, just not on the level of
Whoa!
Oh yeah, the one fat guy you mentioned with no wall and no barrier in a suburban neighborhood with neighbors. She doesn't give two no one's out for her. She's lying about all of this. You told me you went to her house and she's got a 4-foot wall and one fat guy, and she doesn't give a about her security.
So that was like Tim last Monday. This is Tim who said I had no security except for one fat guy, which I told you was not true. Now he's saying this. Take a listen.
Whoa.
Okay. I'll say things that I probably shouldn't say, but I'm going to say, because I always get super heated on this. Candace Owens has the same security team as Turning Point and Charlie Kirk did. She's lying. She has the same security people. I've been digging into this. I've been meeting with people and talking with them. And I shouldn't say too much because there's more that's going to be coming out soon. Because rest assured, people are filing legal paperwork against her. Candace has the same security team, or has used the same security companies and the same security personnel as Charlie and Erica did. So when she comes out and is questioning them, she is lying outright. Now, I've invited many of these people to come on. We'll see what happens. We'll see when they can. The issue is, the moment Candace goes on her show to millions of people and lies, litigation begins. And what happens when litigation begins? People don't do interviews about it. She is exploiting this, and she knows she is, to keep people wrapped up in this insanity.
Tim versus Tim, undefeated. And what I will also say is that's all a lie. It's almost like they have just sent a call, like they're getting too close, and just said, I don't care what you write. I don't care if it's complete fiction. Make it believable. Say her husband beats her. Say her, like it's coming after my husband. They're coming after me, and they're making stuff up. I have never employed the same security team as Charlie Kirk, ever. We went our separate ways early. Actually, there was it's obviously been publicized before he had Schaefer Security, and Schaefer Security, which was run by Greg Schaefer, who has issued a public statement. They had Dan Flood and Brian Harpool working for them initially. I told Charlie I did not like the security apparatus. I got my own security separate from Charlie from the very beginning, okay? That's a fact. It just is a fact. There's no way to undo that fact. Trying to do this strategy of you're gonna get sued, it's just threatening somebody. If there was any truth to that, you can't just file legal paperwork. You have to send a cease and desist. You have to say something you said on your show was
okay. Say they filed slander paperwork against Candace Owens too.
Untrue. Can you please correct this? Okay. And if I ignore that, as I did with Brigitte because I told the truth, as I did with Kim Clasey because I told the truth, then you have the grounds to file something. We have received no cease and desist from Charlie's Security whatsoever. Over what?
No,
the audacity that you're filing a lawsuit and someone got murdered on your watch, because I accurately said that the Brian Harpool, the message he showed belonged to Dan Flood. It did, and that they didn't do a walkthrough on that day. They didn't. And if something I'm getting wrong and you'd like to show me that actually you did, send it over. We're only interested in getting the truth, and we're not getting it. We're certainly not expecting to get it from Tim Pool. That is crazy. That's just crazy town. But I do think that is right now the Zionist strategy, and that's why I want to encourage you guys to stay focused. Huachuca, which we're going to have a lot on tomorrow, because there is something there, and I think that caused a panic, as well as the Egyptian planes, which I am telling you go back relate to Israel.
The
and I will
Egyptian
prove that
planes
tomorrow
again.
for all of the naysayers. And again, it's only because this is how they act. If they always overreact, and then it lets us know that we are close. They are like an alarm. They are just an alarm. Something else that I wanted to show you, by the way, I thought we were not supposed to be doing live streams while we were speaking. Okay, couple of housekeeping items, you guys. If you want to buy Make Him a Sandwich.
No, ma'am.
holiday season. So go ahead and run and get that. Protect us all. I want to say this to you guys, just plainly. If I was going to sell out, it would have happened in the last 2 years. Okay. Those offers were made. Those threats were made. I hope you have seen what I have gone through to keep myself, really. I was fighting to stay me, and it was hard. And that it made me really appreciate the fact that we do live in a matrix and every element is controlled. And that is why they are vicious right now with making up things about me and my family, because now that I chose freedom, they hate that I have freedom. They hate that there's no more threats to make, right? So they're just embarking on this fan fiction campaign. But especially for the people that I care about in life, right? Especially for people whose heads I have held up, who have held up my head through really hard times like Charlie did, that I would just sell out to like the highest bidder and go, okay, well, you know what, BB offered me a lot of money, so I'm going to stop talking about this, and I'm no longer going to explore this angle, or I'm going to, you know, to repeat to you guys, it was definitely Tyler Robinson. It's just not in my character. I have always been the kind of person that knows that it's not worth living life that way. My whole spirit would be corrupted. I couldn't do it. I struggle with people that can do it. I struggle seeing people who have so obviously sold their souls on the internet. It's very frustrating to watch it. Central 848 writes, Candace, please look into the possibility that Charlie was electrocuted and that the hole in his neck was made by the currents passing through his necklace and out of his throat. The images of his charred hands are conclusive and compelling. Please, for the love of God, look into this. I did watch that video that Baron Coleman put together. First and foremost, I want to say Baron Coleman has done some incredible work, and I actually told him that we should get together and collaborate because I had watched a video of his where he was building on Camp Huachuca, and he made me notice some things. So then we started researching some other elements, and that's what we're going to move on to tomorrow. I can tell you definitively, that's a weird camera angle. They do look charred in the photos that he showed, but I can tell you that his hands were not charred when he was buried. And so what you thought that like people were like, oh, this was like makeup and stuff. It was a very compelling theory. It just wasn't so. And I very much trust the person that told me that. But that said, the Baron Coleman, if you have not seen the episode where he builds on what I said about Camp Huachuca, that is worth a watch. He kind of suggests in that episode, which I want to shut down, he suggests that, I think he heavily suggests that it could have been the Veep on the base. Vance on the base, and I did then research, so I was like, oh wow, is he right? There's actually video of Vance, so it could not have been Vance on the base. Again, I'm getting ahead of ourselves here. We should talk about more of that tomorrow, but that is a very compelling video that he did, which was fantastic work, and I do want to collaborate with him. Maybe we'll do it this week or next week Christmas, I guess. I don't know, we'll figure it out. Jenna writes, your true fans had no doubts about you whatsoever. Merry Christmas to you. I was like, are you new here? Girl, I have been maimed, fired, caricatured. I'm watching right now. My family go through that right now because they are so desperate. And I just think we're
Dang, she said her family's going through it because they're so desperate. I guess that's the people that's trying to shut her up. You know what I'm saying? They messing with her family as well. Lord.
To an awakening and really understanding what real evil is. So we're going to keep pushing. Zachary Loft writes, longtime listener, first time donor. Why wasn't the combo live? Why is Brandon Tatum the only creator that you follow on both IGs? That was 2 questions. Okay, the first thing, why wasn't the combo live? It was first intended to be live. They did say, obviously, you saw the offer Blake Neff made, which was not a true offer. But then what came behind that was Erica communicating with Megyn Kelly and me. Megyn Kelly was kind of the intermediary. We were trying to find someone that was fair, like I said earlier. And then obviously it sort of felt like it got a bit uglier the next week. And I sort of felt, and I think it was fair, that then she went on this press tour and it was kind of directed at me. So then they said, okay, well, by that I mean Justin Strife kind of said,
call it a press tour. That's because we've been seeing Erica everywhere promoting Charlie's book, but she's saying that most of it was directed towards her. All them times I've been telling y'all up, I think they're talking about Candace. Candace feels like they've been talking about her too.
A little hot right now. What about we do like not an off record conversation, but have a private conversation. And I actually will say, I wished it was live, but I will also say I am glad that some parts weren't, because I was then able to tell them some things that I have not yet said, that I wanted to like fact check and get some answers on, but also to say something to them that I found out that I didn't say because I didn't want to hurt the company in a way, right? So some of this is very relevant to Charlie's research and what happened on 9/10, and some of it is not. So we got to, I guess, have that portion of the conversation I think was better off camera. But I was always open and am still open to live streaming with them whenever. Truly, like whenever. You guys know I'm an open book, so it wasn't my demand that it be private. I was happy to do a live stream. But I think Justin thought that it would be better if after, just so we could kind of bring the temperature down, which I think was very much accomplished. Temperature was definitely brought down. Zachary Loft wrote, longtime listener for, I just read that. Mr. Bruce Lee writes, people in the chat, many other channels are not hearing what they want to hear, so it's automatically, well, Candace got paid. The chats are so botted. It's better to actually look at comments after the episode to see what people think. And we've had so many people talk about how there are so many bots in the chat, and so focus on obviously the words that I am saying.
Candace says she got bots in the chat.
And obviously you can tell that I have not been paid because I wouldn't be talking about Israel. And I think there's something to explore there. We'll get into that tomorrow. One Will Wallace writes, pretty clear to me that Kirk was murdered because of his voice and influence. Here's some support toward that security detail. Thank you very much. It's obvious that these people will stop at nothing to silence someone. Continue to stand 10 toes down for the truth, but please be careful. God bless you, Candace. Thank you. That is actually a tremendous donation. Thank you for guys who have been giving these donations, which have gotten bigger because you're concerned about security. And I think everybody after Charlie Kirk assassination is more concerned about security. It's a discussion that my husband and I are having more and more. And that's why it feels especially disgusting when someone like Tim Pool is trying to signal to people, attack her. Like he's basically trying to signal to people that her security is weak, or like she's using the same security as Charlie, all of these things, like he is trying to put into the air that he wants me to be attacked. That's how I'm taking this, because why is he making my security a theme on his show? I don't trust that at all, and I don't know what's guiding that. Rio Bays writes, how would Erica and the feds not see those messages? That makes zero sense to me. I think you're referring to the messages that Charlie got the night before. Yeah, we didn't discuss whether the feds had received those messages. I will say that. We did not discuss that. But we did discuss, she obviously said that she did not see those messages. So I'm going to read the rest of your comment. How would Erica and the feds not see those messages? That makes zero sense. Erica, Brian Harpole, and so many others caught in these lies. This is what you fished for. Why go soft? That doesn't make sense. Also heard that we're chilling with TPUSA members at Tucker's party. That's another more fan fiction. I have no idea what that was about. You're referring to a person who went and said that Candace was hanging out with TPUSA and Tucker and Marjorie Taylor Greene at Tucker's Christmas party. To my knowledge, I did not see any Turning Point USA employees. I did not have a conversation with any Turning Point USA employees. To my knowledge, that I did not see them. It was a massive party. I have never had beef with Tucker. That's why I was at his Christmas party. And I've never had beef with Marjorie Taylor Greene. So yeah, I spoke to them. That's what I mean. It's like the attacks are just every second of every day accusing me of something. And the implication there was like I was like sitting on the side laughing and enjoying.
Candace say they out to get her. You know, talking about she was all these places. She was not.
A beer with Carol Farnsworth and Tyler Boyer. I am sure, because Tucker obviously has a good relationship with them, that there were some Turning Point USA employees. I didn't speak to them. To my knowledge. I did not speak to them. So I actually responded and I said to the person, why don't you publish who you're talking about? You don't have to, like, everyone's like beating around the bush. Like, I can't say what I know about her security. Say it, because you're lying. Okay. If you say you know something about how I'm actually secretly laughing with Turning Point USA, speak plainly.
Dang. Secretly laughing with Turning Point USA. I find it crazy that they speaking on her security too. She better be careful.
I have nothing to hide. I am not the person who's playing any games right now. So if you're going to call me out, go all the way. Okay? Go max on calling me out, because if I'm a fraud, the public sure as hell deserves to know it. And you're not going to find me in a situation like that. Isabella Mazzone writes, can you elaborate more about Charlie and his journey to Catholicism? Did Erica confirm that? I am going through a journey with Catholicism as well, and I think that they should be honest about that. Look, obviously Erica confirmed it. I was always telling the truth, and that was one of the first things I said. I was like, what was that weird Alex Clark thing? I was being attacked for no reason, and then I get these people doubling down on it, and I know that they know that it's true that Charlie was going to Mass. And I can't speak on whether he was close to converting. That's a conversation, like you said. Erica can speak on that, and there might be a time and a place for her to do that. I can only speak on the fact that I wasn't lying and that I was having those conversations with him, that he was attending Mass. And I do think, from what I've been told, that he was planning on signing up and starting that process, but I did not personally have that conversation with him. So that's third party. The right person to speak about that would be Erica, and I do think she should. I think she should, because nobody was nastier to me than the Judeo Christians, the evangelical crowd, because I told the truth about conversations that I had with Charlie about Catholicism. And none of them corrected the record. None of them said I'm sorry. None of them said I know what I was speaking about. They just kind of doubled and tripled down on attacking me, which is a repeat theme.
She always say she's being attacked.
Being attacked for telling the truth, and I just keep telling the truth. So, yeah. What's the lie? Where is the lie? Where is the lie? Lastly, Lamp writes, how come Qatar is always used as the go-to punching bag by the media? Why does Qatar never even push back? And Qatar seems to never attack Israel in a war of aggression or any sort of attack. Have they ever even done anything negative toward Israel? Well, Qatar recently came out and said, yeah, we work with Hamas because Israel and the United States asked us to. They asked us to play the intermediary. And now we are being attacked for doing what they asked us to do, which sounds like the most absolute United States-Israel thing ever, is to ask people to help you and then to be like, oh, I'm so horrified by what they're doing. And I tend to believe that. I don't understand the weird Qatar thing. Like I said, I would take Qatari money. I would. They haven't called me. It's deeply upsetting. I don't understand what I'm doing wrong, what I'm getting wrong, what I can do better to make them call me. I would be totally one of those people that's in the commercials. Have you seen, like, Qatari Airlines is supposed to be amazing, apparently. And I'd be in a commercial for Qatari Airlines. I don't mind somebody making that NAI video and maybe sending that over to the Qatari embassy and seeing if they want to hire me. I am open to being paid by Qatar. So I don't get it. I don't know why Jared Kushner and Zionists are allowed to go to Qatar, which happened recently, and do deals with them, but for some reason Candace and Tucker are not. It's just not fair.
Say she'll do a deal with
Qatar. And I guess it's a question for another day. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
All right, so y'all heard basically what Candace had to say about that. She is not stopping, guys. Yeah, no matter what's going on, she is not stopping, even after having a private interview with Erica Kirk. She is still going, guys. She is not stopping. To another story before we get up out of here that I know y'all done heard about. The David and Celeste case gets even stranger, guys. They found a burn cage inside David's house, guys.
And I also have an update tonight on the case of the singer David and the runaway teen girlfriend who was found dead in the trunk of his Tesla. For weeks, we've been wondering just what it was that a private investigator named Steve Fisher found inside David's home when he was given access last October. The PI reported seeing, quote, items you would expect to find on a farm rather than in a home in the Hollywood Hills. And today, we are learning about one of those items. Steve Fisher has confirmed it was something called a burn cage. Take a look at your screen. That's what a burn cage looks like. It's used usually on farms to incinerate waste and debris, but lots of private homes have them as well. This particular model can apparently get up to a whopping 1,600 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's what it looks like.
Can apparently get up to a whopping 1,600 degrees Fahrenheit. But private homes incinerate waste and debris, but lots of private homes have them as well. This particular model can apparently get up to a whopping 1,600 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 200 degrees hotter than the temperature required to burn human bones. And this is the photograph Steve took of that burn device, the burn cage inside David's home. He noted that these types of incinerators are illegal in LA County, and that even if it were a prop, say used for a music video, still doesn't seem to be much of a reason for it to be delivered to his home. Still no word on an arrest in this case, but with evidence like this, might only be a matter of time.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download.
Yeah, so evidently a burn cage found at his house, is a significant thing, guys. A burn cage. Yeah, they talking about it.
And on social media, we got to talk about it. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. The good news is we got a great sponsor to help us out. Cloud Health. It's different.
Fast
forward. You can opt out that we got to talk about, and it may give us some sort of insight into what happened to 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez, who, as you know, her body was found in a Tesla that was allegedly registered to singer David back in September out in LA. There have been no arrests, there have been no charges filed. There has been reporting, particularly from TMZ, that possibly an investigative grand jury out in LA may be hearing evidence. We did previous sidebars on that. You can check it all out. But one
My guy say he got 3 of them in his backyard, man. Well, they are making a big deal about this burn cage.
Question that we don't have the answer to, and from a forensic point of view, perhaps is a complicating factor, is what happened to Celeste? How did she die? What was the true state of her body? How was she moved? Which is why the update that I'm about to get into is so interesting. We want to talk about complicating. You know what else is complicating? The fact that the cause and manner of death hasn't been released, and that the details from the medical examiner's office have been sealed by court order. You know, according to a release from the medical examiner's office, it said at 10:54 a.m. on Friday, November 21st, the County of Los Angeles Department of Medical Examiner received a court order initiated by the Los Angeles Police Department.
Yes, that the examiner cannot speak on the case, guys. The coroner is not allowed to come out and give any details regarding this case. Ain't that crazy? That's something that's rarely done that they did here.
To place a security hold on medical examiner case number 2025-14252 Celeste Rivas Hernandez. No records or details associated with the case, including the cause and manner of death and medical examiner report, can be released or posted on the website until further notice. And then you had the Robbery Homicide Division that released a statement not only addressing this, but also addressing the media reporting that Celeste was decapitated and that her body was either entirely or partially frozen. Now, this is based primarily on reporting from...
And then the police came out and said, no, her body, she still had her head.
TMZ. They had a statement that said, Robbery Homicide Division statement on Celeste Rivas investigation, Los Angeles. The Los Angeles Police Department is aware of the recent stories posted by various media outlets about the David Celeste Rivas investigation.
Now listen
and would
to
like
what
to
they
dispel
said
some
about all
misinformation contained in their reporting. The body of Celeste Rivas was not frozen when it was discovered on September 8th, 2025. She had not been decapitated.
And I had told y'all about this, but they didn't do. You hadn't seen the paperwork. We're gonna go to paperwork. So it's actually the police department that reported that she did have her head and her body was not frozen, which is a contradiction to what we've been hearing at first. So it's a lot of breaking information that's coming out in this situation. She was not frozen and she did have her head.
As far as the court order, the LAPD sought to seal the records of the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner's investigation into Celeste Rivas' death. That order was sought only to ensure detectives from Robbery Homicide Division learned of important information surrounding her death before the media and the public. The order was not sought to undermine transparency. Okay, now we got to talk about this update. And this update concerns Steve Fisher. We've had him on the...
That's the private investigator. He the one that's done found this burn cage, guys. This guy right here is a PI, and he's got a lot of information on this situation because he's investigating it.
Program before. Steve is the private investigator who was hired by the owner of the property where David had reportedly been staying in the Hollywood Hills. That property was apparently near the Tesla. That property, by the way, was searched by authorities. Now, Steve has come out and made some comments about his investigation, including things like this.
But I will say this, there are some things that, and I'm talking physical evidence that was at that house that is, there could have been greater plans as far as getting rid of her, and it's scary, sadistic stuff. And that's why we're trying to learn more about that. I wish I could say more, but for obvious reasons I can't. But it doesn't have to do with how she died, but maybe how they were planning on ultimately getting rid of her, and how maybe that Tesla was just a holding spot at the time, and things just, their timing was just off as far as getting this done. But there's a few things that were just like, will blow your mind.
And he was recently discussed on another episode of Sidebar, where he made a post on X seemingly fighting back about potentially being held in contempt of court for allegedly talking about or discussing a case that he had seemingly testified about. He really fought back against that allegation as well. And we assume this was about the Celeste Rivas Hernandez case. Not definitively confirmed, but when you read between the lines of his message, it seemed to be that. Maybe we'll get into that a little bit later. But now, given what he has said about his findings, this is what we need to talk about. He just posted this on X. Quote, "Although my words have been misquoted by some, what I actually said about certain items found at the Doheny address
what the PI
was that they
said.
were, quote, items you would expect to find on a farm rather than in a home in the Hollywood Hills. One of those items was a burn cage incinerator, advertised to burn at 1,600 degrees. Human cremations are typically performed at approximately 1,400 degrees. An incinerator is not legal to use within city limits and serves no legitimate purpose at a residential property in the Hollywood Hills. Some will argue that this item was intended as a prop for a video. If that were the case, it raises several obvious questions. Why would a 55-pound bird cage be delivered to a private residence instead of directly to a prop designer or production house? Why would it be ordered before departing on an extended world tour? And why was it never used in any video production? It is also important to note that there were additional items present that could be used in conjunction with the burn cage. To be very clear, this burn cage was not used. It was still new and in the box. However, given that Celeste Rivas Hernandez's remains were ultimately found in the Tesla trunk, the presence of an incinerator at the same residence associated with that vehicle necessarily raises questions about intent. The burn cage was not taken during the search warrant, and because it was not used, it appears it's not of importance to any possible criminal investigation. But we think it's important context, even if not criminal. The burn cage and other related items were delivered to the residence under a false name, although the deliveries were accepted at the property. Attached is a photograph of the actual burn cage incinerator as found at the residence, along with an image from Dr. Burns' advertising materials for the product. Hashtag Celeste Rivas Hernandez, hashtag David.
So this private investigator most definitely knows some things, guys, about this case. This is crazy. But that is a picture right there of the incinerator that they had at the house.
And he does include
That's
those
illegal
photos, by the way. What do we make of this?
to have in Los Angeles.
Let me bring on Matt Irvine to talk about this, retired detective, law enforcement instructor. Matt, so good to have you here. Quite the statement from Steve Fisher, making it public. Your thoughts if this is true?
Well, I think Steve Fisher's remarks are very well considered. I cannot think of a legitimate, innocent reason why a burn cage would be received at a private residence, why it would be ordered under a false name. I also, frankly,
let's
can't
actually just start
understand.
there. Keep your thought.
Okay.
The only thing I would say is about a false name, you know, if he's a celebrity, he doesn't want people knowing that he's staying there. Thoughts?
Fair enough, but if he's got a bunch of people that he's working with because he intends to use this as part of a concert tour, as part of a video, he's got a whole staff of people that can order something for him. I don't understand why he would need to do it under an assumed name. But your point is well taken. That could be an innocent explanation. But again, to Steve's points, if that is indeed the intent.
So to me, it seems like they're implying that this burn cage could have potentially been used to try to hide evidence, which would be the body of Celeste, man. They basically trying to paint the picture as if he may have been trying to burn it up.
For this item, why is it delivered to a private residence? Why is it not with them on tour? Why is it not taken to some location to be used for some kind of a video? That said, I also can't think of a good reason why LAPD didn't seize this item. I mean, if you're conducting an investigation into a body found in the trunk of a car, one of your working theories has got to be that this body was placed there in order to move it from the scene where the death occurred and then transport it to some third location to conceal it or dispose of it. And if you're looking at the possibility that somebody is trying to dispose of a body and you search the residence of a person of interest in that case and you find what is essentially a home crematorium, why don't you take that? I know that when you're serving a search warrant, you can only seize the things that the court authorized you to seize and that you told the court you expected to find there. I'm sure nobody expected to find this item there. But what you do in a search warrant when you find something evidentiary that was unexpected is you write what's called a piggyback.
Thank you,
It's a simple addendum where you say, hey, judge, while serving that search warrant that you issued, we found this other thing. We think it's evidence. We'd like to seize that too. It's a typical one-page addendum that's tacked onto your warrant. I've never seen a judge not sign one of those, and I don't know why that wasn't done in this case.
So let me ask you this, Matt. You could be 100% right? First of all, assuming this is true, that a bird cage was delivered there, and assuming for a moment that law enforcement didn't seize it, okay, let's say that's accurate. I guess the question would be either, like you said, it was beyond the realm, it was beyond the scope of a search warrant. Maybe they didn't amend it for whatever reason. Or is it possible, when we're trying to think about what happened to Celeste, her body showed absolutely no sign of burning whatsoever, and they couldn't definitively establish that the purchase, the delivery of this incinerator was related to her in any way?
Well, that's a fair statement. I mean, and as Steve Fisher mentioned, it was unused, but it seems like because of the circumstances that this body was found in the trunk of the car, that the crime of disposal of the body was incomplete, that there was a plan, or at least the beginnings of a plan, to conceal or dispose of the body. And for one reason or another, that plan was not fully executed. And that doesn't make the burn cage any less evidentiary. Again, a search warrant doesn't have to reach the level of probable cause to arrest. You just have to argue that you're investigating a crime and that this item is potentially evidence of that crime. So it's a much lower standard than what you would need to arrest somebody. And I think that standard is well met just by the circumstances of the discovery of Celeste's body.
If somebody had used that, could it thoroughly incinerate a body and there'd be no human composition left? There'd be no human remains left?
You know, I'm not familiar with that product. I trust Steve Fisher when he says that an incineration of a human body, a cremation, takes place at 1,400 degrees. If this thing could go to 1,600, I don't know what its capacity is at 55 pounds. I can't imagine it's that large. But, you know, that again brings us back to this allegation of dismemberment or potential dismemberment if you're going to dispose of a body in that way. It's a pretty awful thing to consider, but it looks like somebody may have been considering this.
Well, that's an interesting part, because when we first started on this case, there was a question, why was the body left in a Tesla? Either it was, somebody was in the middle of trying to figure out what to do next with the body, they panicked, or it was deliberately left there to cast suspicion on David, right? We thought that could have been a possibility. But if the body's left in the car, and now you're thinking about the purchase of this incinerator, that is like really, really, really sloppy work. I mean, you're purchasing an item to be delivered for potentially the disposal of a body. I mean, that's the allegation, or one of the allegations, we don't know for sure. But if we're taking that as true, that is like really bad planning on a number of different levels.
Well, I would expect that however Celeste died was not something that was very well planned or thought through. And I would expect that if you've got a bunch of people who don't have significant, sophisticated criminal histories and they're confronted with a dead body under whatever circumstance, panic would be a pretty likely reaction. And, despite all the stuff we see in TV and movies, most people that commit crimes aren't terribly sophisticated. These are not, Ocean's 11 type, master criminal kinds of enterprises. These are people that get in situations where they are way over their head. Things happen that they did not intend. And they get out of control and they panic. And a lot of the kind of circumstances of this case seem to suggest that.
And if it is true that that burn cage was not used, that it was left in the packaging, if someone had purchased that for the purpose of, let's say, of disposing of Celeste's body, it gives you kind of an insight into someone's mentality and what they're capable of doing, which also makes me wonder, was this the first attempt to dispose of her body? If someone would be willing to incinerate her body, and we don't have definitive evidence of that, I mean, we're just taking this report from Steve Fisher.
We don't got definitive evidence of nothing right now. I can't even understand why ain't nobody in jail.
Minute, we're assuming it. Does it not give you indication about what the state of Celeste's body may have been like? And again, what's complicated is we don't know the cause and manner of death. We don't know more details, particularly about her body. But am I off to say if someone has the will to do that, would this have been their first attempt to dispose of a body? Does it give you an indication of what else may have happened to Celeste's body?
Well, you raise a couple of questions. I mean, everything about the circumstances of the discovery of poor Celeste's body suggests something that was not terribly well planned and an act that was not complete. In terms of the burn cage, it's hard to know when in the course of all of this item was purchased. Was this the first plan to dispose of her body, and for some reason, a plan B was hatched that involved putting it in the trunk of the car? Was there somebody that was supposed to remove the body from the trunk and place it in the burn cage, and for one reason or another, either failed to do that or decided not to do that? I mean, there's a lot we could speculate about here. I think the big takeaway is that one or more people, probably inexperienced in criminal activity, panicked and hatched one or more schemes, none of which ultimately were taken to their completion.
Mm-hmm. But what is complicating, I mentioned before, is you have this seal on the medical examiner records. In your experience, I don't know if you and I had an opportunity to talk about this. Whatever's going on between the ME's office and the LAPD is interesting, to say the least.
It is interesting and it is unusual. The LA Coroner's Office works with 40 plus agencies in the greater LA County area, but it works very, very closely with LAPD and particularly with robbery homicide. And, defense attorneys often complain that homicide detectives and the coroner work too closely together. I've attended autopsies where I'm standing with the medical examiner and we're looking at the evidence and we're talking about what we think may have happened. And when people are acting in good faith, that leads to good information and good investigations. But it's very hand in glove. And that's not true in every jurisdiction, but it's very true in LA. It's particularly true for the truly expert and experienced people in LAPD robbery homicide. So for them to be issuing contradictory statements, or for the LA Coroner's Office to say, we wish we could tell you, but we can't, and then LAPD coming out and saying what's being leaked possibly from the coroner's office is not true. I have never seen that before. These are people that work very, very closely together on very sensitive cases, and there's usually a lot of trust and a lot of cooperation.
Yeah, and the chief medical examiner released a statement at the time saying the department's mission is to have full transparency with the community by providing information about our cases to empower people to make changes that save lives. Since becoming the department head, I've worked on eradicating the practice of placing security holds on medical examiner cases simply by law enforcement request. The practice of security holds is virtually unheard of in other counties and has not been proven.
Virtually unheard of in other counties, meaning they ain't doing this often. Why is the coroner not releasing the details? Could it be that they're trying to wait on somebody else basically to come forward and slip up and say something that only they know? Or are they trying to hide something? We'll never know. But basically, the coroner is not at liberty to release details on the condition or, anything like that when it comes to Celeste Revere.
To improve outcomes in the legal system, we are dedicated to serving our community with full transparency. However, the law precludes us from doing so while the court order remains in this case. Look, I get the position of LAPD. They don't want to compromise an ongoing investigation. They want to be careful about what information's out there. Two questions I have for you is, one, do you think the medical examiner's office definitively knows the cause and manner of death for Celeste? And B, what is LAPD's greatest concern about information coming out?
So there's a lot about this that is very confusing and unusual to me. First of all, I would say it is very likely the LA Medical Examiner's Office knows as much as they're going to know. It's been more than 3 months since Celeste Raines were discovered. I can't imagine a test or a procedure that would not have been performed by now and for which the results would not have returned. So I don't know what they know. I'm afraid, or I expect, that they know all that they're going to. LAPD's greatest concern, obviously, is about information getting out that could damage the investigation, particularly at this point where nobody's been arrested or charged. That said, it's also strange to me that if their concern is protection of information, and the integrity of their investigation, that there would be, as has been reported, an investigative grand jury being held right now. Because when you bring people into an investigative grand jury and ask them questions, they then exit that questioning and consult with their attorney. And now you've got...
This would be a burn cage right here, my guy. Yeah, because they gave us a close-up. It's what a burn cage looked like.
It's confirmed it was something called a burn cage. Take a look at your screen. That's what a burn cage looks like. It's used usually on farms to incinerate waste and debris, but lots of private homes have them as well. This particular model can apparently get up to a whopping 1,600 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 200 degrees hotter than the temperature required to burn. Homes have them as well. This particular model can apparently get up to a whopping 1,600 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 200 degrees hotter than the temperature required to burn human bones. And this is...
That's what a burn cage looks like.
Two people that at least have some insight into what the investigation is about. And if you've got multiple people being brought before a grand jury, there's often going to be a common defense agreement among them where all of the persons who are questioned and all of their attorneys are all talking to each other. So at least among the people who could potentially be charged or called as witnesses in this case, there's a lot of information potentially leaking out just by virtue of the grand jury process.
I've been told that one of the advantages of an investigative grand jury here, other than, presenting evidence and issuing subpoenas and gathering more evidence, and by the way, my understanding is this is a grand jury that wouldn't even be able to issue a formal indictment. You would need to bring it to another grand jury. But one of the advantages is you can lock in witnesses' testimony. And for a future case, hit them with it. Say, this is what you testified to in the grand jury. This is what you said. We're locking in your testimony as a future witness in a case, particularly when it's complicated, particularly when it's high profile. And there was reporting from TMZ about who may or may, who may be appearing at that courthouse, which can complicate it as well. But you tell me what you think the advantage would be.
So the advantage to an investigative grand jury is that they can compel the production of evidence, be it physical evidence, documents, records, or testimony. And that, as you said, can lock people into statements. It may be accompanied by immunity agreements and proffers where people are being cooperated. We've talked before about there possibly being a kind of a sliding scale of culpability here where they want to roll less culpable people on the more culpable people. Grand jury is certainly a way to do that. Often, though, in a typical criminal investigation, these locking people into statements and gathering evidence is done by the police. They're interviewing people, they're serving search warrants, and they're getting this information that way. So obviously they can't compel people under oath, but they're usually pretty good at getting people to talk. And so the fact that there is, at least as reported, an investigative grand jury suggests that there is evidence, be it documentary or testimonial, that the DA needs that the police have been unable to obtain.
And by the way, just so we're clear, if there is an issue, if the indictment is ultimately handed down and there's an arrest, are we, the public, or Celeste family, going to know every detail immediately? Are we all going to understand what happened to Celeste if and when that day comes?
It really depends on how the DA's office decides to issue the indictment. An indictment can be a very, very brief document that simply outlines the charges and the persons being charged, or it can be what they sometimes call a speaking indictment, which is more common on the federal side, where they really lay out a lot of the evidence in the indictment document. However, once somebody is indicted, it starts a discovery process where pretty much everything that's known to the prosecution is disclosed to the defense. more often than not, the defense may put stuff out there, at least stuff that they feel is helpful to their client. The DA really isn't going to present evidence that is publicly available until the case actually hits the courtroom. Beyond what's listed in the indictment. Excuse me.
Yeah, no. Okay, this is an interesting development. We'll see what comes of it. So far, Steve Fisher's the only one I see that is talking about this incinerator and its possible connection to this case. All right, we'll keep a careful eye on it. Matt Irvine, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jesse.
And that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us.
In more than 3 months.
Yeah, man. So, yeah, it's crazy, man. Prayers for this young girl family and for her soul, man. It is crazy, y'all. If you haven't double tapped that screen, make sure you double tap the screen right now on your mobile device, or click those 3 dots, hit that thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel, man. All right, so we walked down healthcare basically with the Republicans. And then we seen what the Democrats had to say, and they were talking about the Epstein files and them being released by the DOJ and Trump and Bundy by December 19th. You know what I'm saying? They're asking for full transparency, even though they said, they took measures to ensure that it's full transparency, and if they decide to redact some things under there, they will argue that it's a lot of stuff in the files that don't need to be redacted, that are redacted. They got some of their best lawyers on it. They're looking at every angle that Trump and them could go at to not release those files, and asking, what does Trump have to hide, guys? Yeah, we seen that from the Democrats. We also looked over the Erica Kirk and Candace Owens situation. They've been going back and forth, on social media and as well as the news channels, with Erica saying what she wanted to say, basically telling Candace to stop with all the nonsense, the conspiracy theories when it comes to her husband. Candace says she ain't got no conspiracy theories. She's going off the facts. She got notes. She got it tracked down to the milliseconds, the timeline. And so, that caused them to have a sit down with each other, which they chose to do it private this time. Candace, Erica says that Erica and Candace say that the meeting went well, but then Candace rebutted. Candace came back on her own channel basically told us what took place inside the meeting, what she told them, what they told her, some of the things that she was right about and some of the things that she was wrong about, and some things that she said that didn't all the way go as they were supposed to, because the situation needed tweaking. So they tweaked it, and basically told her, some information. We seen how other people felt about it. Chris Cuomo basically spoke on it, yeah, man, that whole situation with Candace and Erica, don't seem like it's going to end well, because Candace is not stopping. I predict that maybe somewhere down the line, if she don't watch what she got going, she's going to get a lawsuit. Somewhere off in there is feeling like they already trying to talk it out. Candace ain't really trying to talk it out. They saying that she's geared towards money. That's why she's doing what she's doing, and not really into Charlie, for justice. But she said she's in it for justice. Talked about some Egyptian planes. Told Charlie's people and Erica and them about the Egyptian planes and them following Charlie and Erica around. I'm like, wow. I don't know how true it is, but she says that it's true, and then we got this situation right here with this young lady. They found a burn cage inside David's home, a popular TikTok singer, because I never heard of him before this situation. Man, I've been hearing crazy things about this situation. Body doubles, lookalikes, just all kind of things when it comes to the Celeste Rivera and David situation. Man, this case is getting deeper by the second, and I'm wondering why ain't nobody been locked up yet. Because I can assure you, if it was me with a body found in my trunk and no real explanation of why it's in my house, we'd have been locked up. We'd have been in jail already. They would have already took us in. We found out that his dad is a lawyer. Yeah, his dad is a lawyer, and that could be the reason why he's managing to stay free so long. They fighting tooth and nail, to basically come up with these alibis and things of that nature, basically to get him off. We found out that the body wasn't frozen. A lot of the news stations said that in the beginning, but the police put out a statement and basically said that the body wasn't frozen and the head was still the head was attached. It wasn't not attached. It was attached. So just pointing out some of the things that we heard that may not potentially be just on point like that, y'all. You know what I'm saying? So I hope you enjoyed the show, man. Y'all double tap that screen if you're in the building. If you have not, please double tap that screen. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. There's plenty more to come on Everything News. I most definitely keep y'all updated with everything that catches my interest that's within the news, and I present it to y'all and hope it's interesting to y'all as well. So we do this on a day-to-day basis. Make sure you tap in with me. Yeah, man, shout out to my old subscribers as well as the new ones. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. Shout out to all of my members, the old ones as well as the new ones. I appreciate y'all as well. Most definitely shout out to my moderators for keeping this chat running smooth. I know it get hectic sometime with all those opinions down there and things that you may have to erase and, telling people to hit the like button. Sometimes I don't know what I'd do without y'all, but I do appreciate each and every one of y'all. Y'all already know how this go. Sidewalk Gang, checking out. Hey, man, y'all take care of yourself. Y'all be safe. I'll see y'all on the next one. I'm gone.